Yo legends, welcome back to the channel. Grab your headphones and lock in because today's story is on another level. Want the next chapter? Drop a comment below, and if the legend continues, I'm bringing it straight to you. Disclaimer, I do not claim ownership of this story. All rights belong to the original creators. Note, I'm constantly tweaking the settings to make it as immersive as possible. Naruto, I'm in Konoha, my name is Uzumaki Menma. Chapter 1, Reborn in Konoha, but named Uzumaki Menma. Chapter 1, Reborn in Konoha, but named Uzumaki Menma. Hahaha, it's fake, it's all fake. This world doesn't have Madara Uchiha, it doesn't have the Sage of Six Paths, and it doesn't have Kaguya Otsutsuki. Under the crimson blood moon, in the center of the Fourth Shinobi World War, Uzumaki Menma, surrounded by 80,000 allied shinobi forces, stood atop the Black Nine-Tails and laughed wildly. The many powerful ninja below looked solemn. Over the past 2 years, they had become accustomed to this madman who kept saying, "This world is all fake." After laughing wildly, Uzumaki Menma removed the white three-eyed fox mask from his face, feeling the throbbing sensations emanating from the transplanted Sharingan and the sense of rejection from the world. 15 years have passed since I transmigrated to this world. As a transmigrator, he thought he was Naruto Uzumaki, but he turned out to be Menma Uzumaki. His parents, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, were also alive and well, letting Menma know that the world he was in was just a fake, limited Tsukuyomi world. In his quest to find a way out, he has grown stronger over the past decade, collecting various bloodline limits and secret techniques. He even transplanted a pair of 3-Tomo Sharingan into himself and subdued the Black Nine-Tails, becoming a cage-level powerhouse. But no matter how hard he searched, he couldn't find any trace or legend of Madara Uchiha, the Sage of Six Paths, or Kaguya Otsutsuki in this world. So Menma Uzumaki unleashed a great spiral wheel attack on all 5 great ninja villages, triggering the Fourth Shinobi World War. The 5 great ninja villages assembled an allied army of 80,000 ninjas, and Uzumaki Menma took the opportunity to reveal the truth of this world. Regardless of how many of the 80,000 ninjas believe it, this false world has already begun to reject him. As the repulsion from the limited Tsukuyomi world grew stronger, Menma Uzumaki looked at the faint white light emanating from his body with a look of surprise and delight. He is about to leave this world. It's just unknown which point in the Naruto world he woke up in, or if it was already the infinite Tsukuyomi during the later stages of the Fourth Shinobi World War. This is a farewell gift to this world. Uzumaki Menma's right hand condensed a small ball of dark purple energy, with a high density of dark attribute chakra at the center and a ring of wind release chakra forming a star around it. As the great spiral wheel landed, a burst of white light shot into the sky, and a massive explosion engulfed most of the battlefield and tens of thousands of ninjas. The swirling surface of the hemp also dissipated into the white light. October 10th, Konoha Year 51 night. In a secret birthing room surrounded by barriers in the forest outside Konohagakure, Uzumaki Menma slowly opened her eyes. As expected of a yellow flash. But what are you going to do next? A voice rang out from very close range. Whirlpool-faced Ma opened her eyes wide and saw the tiger-striped masked man holding her in one arm. He turned his head slightly and saw Minato Namikaze holding a blonde baby in his arms. "Minato," Kushina Uzumaki cried out from the bed not far away. "The night of the Nine-Tailed Fox. Wait, Minato is holding Naruto, so who am I?" Before he could think any further, the explosive tag left by the masked man detonated, blasting Minato Namikaze out of the room. In the instant of the explosion, Abido Uchiha, along with Menma and Kushina, entered the Kamui dimension. My face is numb. Inside the Kamui dimension, Kushina struggled to get up, but was too weak to move due to childbirth. Wearing a tiger-striped mask, Abido Uchiha swung 2 kunai with chains attached, binding Kushina in place. Then, he looked down at the baby in his arms. Not crying or making a fuss, Abido Uchiha suddenly felt that killing this baby like this was rather pointless. A bag of rice can be carried up several floors. He wanted to make Minato-sensei feel the pain of losing a loved one, train this child to be a villain, and then let him destroy Konoha. This is a good way to play. Thinking of the fourth Hokage's two sons turning against each other more than a decade later, Obito Uchiha couldn't help but slightly curl the corners of his mouth under his tiger-striped mask. However, nurturing someone by your side for over a decade is still too slow. Obito didn't want to play house with children. So, after glancing at his master Kushina, Obito's body began to be consumed by Kamui. When they reappeared, they had arrived at the orphanage on the outskirts of Konoha village. Is it a baby? Obito Uchiha looked at the baby who was staring at him with big, bright blue eyes, and remembered the name that his teacher Kushina had called out earlier. After leaving Kamui coordinates on Menma's body and writing Menma's name on a piece of paper, Obito Uchiha placed the swaddled Menma at the entrance of the orphanage. Obito Uchiha was confident that he wouldn't let Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki live tonight until tomorrow. I will come to find you in 10 years. After saying that, Obito Uchiha used Earth Release to enter the Kamui dimension. No, at least knock on the door. Menma was on the verge of a breakdown as he watched Obito leave, leaving him standing in the cold wind at the orphanage entrance. The cold night wind howled against his face, but he was just a newborn baby, unable to move and without a trace of chakra in his body. He could only move his mouth and cry out loudly. Boom, in the distant village of Konoha, a gigantic nine-tailed fox was summoned and began wreaking havoc. In an instant, the entire Hidden Leaf village was alarmed. Many ordinary people who were awakened from their sleep fled frantically to the village's refuge caves, while the ninjas rushed to the front lines to try to stop the nine-tailed fox. Director, why is it so noisy outside? Has something happened in the village? A child's voice rang out at the orphanage gate. A squeak. The door opened, and the pharmacist Nano, dressed in a black and white nun's habit, came out with a gray-haired child. Upon seeing the crying baby on the ground by the door, Yakashi Nanu quickly went over and picked it up. Is it an abandoned baby? Du walked up from behind, looked at the baby in the director's arms who had stopped crying, and then looked around. Pharmacist Nanu checked the swaddling clothes and found a hesitant note. Menma, is that his name? Yakashi Nanu murmured to herself. In the direction of Konoha village, a huge black shadow loomed in the night. Its terrifying pressure felt even from a great distance. Looking at those 9 tails, Yakashi Nanu, who had participated in many wars and gathered intelligence in various ninja villages, had already guessed that it was probably a Jinchuriki going out of control. She quickly asked Yakashi Kabuto to wake up the children at the orphanage and prepare to take them to the nearest emergency shelter. The next day, after settling the children, Yakashi Nanu went to the village to collect supplies and saw the severely damaged village and the villagers who were heartbroken and in pain because of the loss of their loved ones. After making numerous inquiries, she finally learned about the Nine-Tailed Fox's rampage last night and the deaths of the fourth Hokage and his wife. P.S. New author, new book. Please support me by adding to your favorites. End of this chapter. Chapter 2, I can and hash 039 T-Tell. I really can and hash 039 T-Tell. Chapter 2, I can't tell. I really can't tell. 3 years later. Konoha Orphanage. Menma, this is your food for tonight. Don't be picky. Yakashi Nano was distributing food to the children one by one, with several older children helping her, including Yakashi Kabuto, who wore glasses. Oh, 3-year-old Menma, dressed in somewhat ill-fitting clothes, accepted the plate expressionlessly. You child, remember to say thank you, be polite. Yakashi Nanu was a little angry, but still spoke gently to Mima. Thank you, Dean. Menma sighed and bowed slightly to Yakashi Nanu. After all, she was his foster mother who provided him with food and shelter. Although her care was a bit nagging, Menma still felt a warmth in his heart. Kabuto, who was helping out nearby, said with a smile, "Go eat, Menma." 3 years have passed, and Menma Uzumaki, who came out of the Limited Tsukuyomi world, is still somewhat unaccustomed to it, fearing that this world is also fake. This after effect has been tormenting Menma ever since. He stared at Kabuto Yakashi, who who was being very gentle with the younger brothers and sisters in the orphanage, and felt that he was completely different from the spy Kabuto Yakashi in his memory. Having spent 15 years in the limited Tsukuyomi world, I've lost many of my memories. When was Kabuto Yakashi taken away by Danzo? When did Nanu Yakashi die? Whirlpool Face Ma felt that those 15 years didn't feel like a dream, but rather a real 15 years that he had experienced, which made him a bit delirious now. Meanwhile, Kabuto, sitting opposite Menma, felt a little uneasy under Menma's gaze, wondering what his usually taciturn younger brother was thinking. Compared to the other orphans in the orphanage, Menma was always very quiet. She didn't cry or fuss even as an infant. While other children were still wetting the bed, Menma was already able to help take care of the other children. He's a bit withdrawn and always looks at people with a strange expression. Myanmar, carrying her tray, casually found a table and sat down. When the other orphans around saw Myanmar coming over, they all shifted their positions. It's not that Myanmar is isolated, but everyone feels uncomfortable around him. In the past, some children wanted to play with him, but he refused. After this happened many times, no child wanted to play with Myanmar anymore. Menma has become accustomed to being alone, and in the limited Tsukuyomi world, due to her instinctive rejection, she feels alienated from her peers and even her parents in that world. Furthermore, Menma also knew that Yakashi Nanu and Yakashi Kabuto would soon be transferred away by Root, and Danzo might even select some people from the orphanage to join Root for cruel training or even human experimentation. Therefore, we must improve our strength as soon as possible. He didn't want to be chosen by Danzo, that scoundrel, to join Root. Myanmar, just as I was pondering, a soft voice called out from the side. Without even turning around, one can tell that it's Yakashi Kabuto. Kabuto, carrying a plate, sat down next to Menma and very naturally acted like an older brother, picking up a piece of meat from his plate and placing it on Menma's plate. Huh? Menma turned his head to look in surprise. I see you always eat very cleanly. Are you getting hungry quickly because you're growing? Let me share some with you. Kabuto, the pharmacist wearing glasses, spoke gently to Masa, mimicking the director's tone and mannerisms. Then, he shared half of the meat on his plate with Myanmar. Looking at the extra pieces of meat on his plate, Myanmar felt a little unreal. When he watched Naruto in his previous life, Kabuto Yakashi was already the spy Kabuto Yakashi, who was good at disguising himself and was cold and treacherous. However, in the limited Tsukuyomi world, there was no trace of Kabuto Yakashi, nor was there any mention of Nano Yakashi. If the limited Tsukuyomi world is a parallel world as netizens speculated in the past, then it should exist. However, there is another theory. The limited Tsukuyomi world is a world constructed based on the perceptions of the caster and the castee, so nothing beyond their perceptions will appear. This is also why Menma suffered a mental breakdown in the limited Tsukuyomi world. He knew he was in a fake, limited Tsukuyomi world. Kushina and Minato's gentle family, and the reversal of the personalities of the 12 Konoha 11 made him feel with every sense that this world was real. But without Madara Uchiha and the Sage of Six Paths, it means that this illusory world has no past or future. I can't tell the difference between the swirling surface and the rough texture. I really can't. Why are you so good to me? Menma asked, her head bowed and her voice trembling slightly. He was terrified that this world was also a fake world. In his memory, Kabuto Yakashi should have been a cunning, treacherous, and ruthless enemy skilled in disguise. But now he cares about his physical development like an older brother. We're brothers, shouldn't we help each other out? Kabuto Yakashi's childish voice sounded somewhat puzzled. Everyone in the orphanage is family, and we should help each other. This is the mindset that the director has always instilled in them. If I'm in trouble, Menma will help me, right? Kabuto Yakashi said to Menma with a smile, his eyes narrowed. Under the influence of the director, pharmacist Kabuto cares deeply about the children at the orphanage because it is his home. Is it difficult? Menma thought of the future and ending of Yakashi Nanu and Yakashi Kabuto. In this world, he lost his family and was abandoned by Abido in an orphanage. Yakashi Nanu and the children in the orphanage are Menma's family in this world. No one has come to the orphanage to investigate the extra orphans born on the night of the Nine-Tails in the past 3 years, which suggests that the third Hokage may not have known that Kushina gave birth to twins. He maintained his aloof personality and kept his distance from others, precisely because he didn't want to affect the development of the original plot. However, this cautious mindset, fearing the butterfly effect, softened under Kabuto Yakashi's kind actions. At worst, we can just treat this as a second, fake world. Menma Uzumaki relaxed his mindset and looked up at Kabuto Yakashi earnestly, saying, "I will help you solve the difficulties you encounter." Having spent the last 3 years in the orphanage, Whirlpool Mather is still uncertain about the situation in the outside world. But for the sake of the dean's kindness in taking him in over the years, and for the meal Kabuto Yakashi provided, he doesn't mind changing the future of Nano Yakashi and Kabuto Yakashi. Kabuto was a little taken aback by Menma's seriousness, but he quickly laughed again. "Director, Lord Danzo is looking for you." A woman from the orphanage suddenly found Yakashi Nanu, who was watching the children eat. Upon hearing this name, Yakashi Nanu's expression, which had been beaming with a gentle smile, immediately changed. "Okay, you watch over the children, and remember to put them to bed early after dinner." After giving some instructions, Yakashi Nanu turned and left the cafeteria. The other dozens of children eating didn't notice anything unusual. Only Yakashi Kabuto and Uzumaki Menma noticed something was wrong. Kabuto put down his plate and secretly followed them. Watching Yakashi Kabuto's small figure leave the cafeteria, Uzumaki Menma picked up the pieces of meat with her chopsticks and ate them in big mouthfuls. He's currently growing, and the energy consumption is enormous in order to refine more chakra. Menma felt that something was absorbing the chakra he had refined, which had prevented his efforts over the years from yielding any results. There's a vague guess about the vortex surface. It seems he brought something out of the Limited Tsukuyomi world. New author, new book. Please add to your favorites and support. End of this chapter. Chapter 3, Little Nine-Tailed Fox. Chapter 3, Little Nine-Tailed Fox, hey, you bastard. Are you going to abandon the years you've spent with us? Late at night, at the entrance of the orphanage, more than 20 orphans, and the director, pharmacist Nano, watched as Kabuto walked towards the group of men in black across the street. The one who shouted just now was the orphan Aki, a few years older than Yakashi Kabuto. He has some medical talent and once went to the front lines with the dean to treat Konoha ninjas. It was also during the Battle of Kikyo Mountain that Yakashi Nanu rescued an orphan and named him Kabuto. After demonstrating his talent as a medical ninja, Kabuto also went to the front lines with Uki as the dean's deputy to provide battlefield medical care for the Konoha ninjas. Therefore, Aki and Yakashi Kabuto also had a very good relationship. Whirlpool Menma stood at the back of the crowd, watching Eiichi shout and Yakashi Kabuto leave. His memories began to surface, and he vaguely remembered that after the Fourth Shinobi World War, when Kabuto Yakashi returned to the Konoha orphanage as its director, this was Kabuto who was by his side. "Kabuto, why?" Yakashi Nanu put her hands together in a prayer gesture, completely bewildered by Kabuto's decision to leave, her eyes filled with worry. She knew all too well how corrupt the root organization was, and she didn't want any of her children to be taken away by Danzo. "I just want to be a ninja." Kabuto Yakashi concealed his true emotions and thoughts, turned slightly as he walked up to Danzo and Orochimaru, and took one last look at his family members at the orphanage. Just as Kabuto was about to say something, he suddenly saw the smallest figure push through the crowd and walk to the front. "Kabuto, remember our promise," Menma Uzumaki shouted at Kabuto Yakashi. Menma, Yakashi Kabuto was somewhat surprised. He then shook his head with a wry smile. Has everyone forgotten the rules of the orphanage? Time to sleep. After saying that, Kabuto Yakashi turned and walked towards Danzo. Orochimaru, dressed in a black robe, squinted as he scrutinized the children in the orphanage, while simultaneously sticking out his tongue to sense the chakra in the air. However, apart from Yakashi Nanu and the first child who shouted earlier, no one else had the scent of chakra. including that kid who just told Du about some kind of agreement. This disappointed Orochimaru somewhat. It seemed that, apart from Kabuto, none of these orphans possessed any ninja talent. Danzo looked at Kabuto Yakashi, nodded in satisfaction, and then left with Orochimaru and Ryuma Aburame. Kabuto Yakashi disappeared into the night along with the three of them. The other two caregivers at the orphanage began to take the children back. The director, Pharmacist Nano, stood there, looking in the direction where Pharmacist Kabuto had left, her hands clasped to her chest as she prayed for Kabuto. Dean, Menma walked up behind Yakashi Nanu and reached out her small hand to tug at the gentle foster mother. Menma, go to sleep. Yakashi Nanu lowered her head, trying her best to hide her sadness and pain, and spoke gently to Menma. While other children call her mom, Menma, a somewhat precocious child, gives Yakashi Nanu a bit of a headache. It wasn't just because this child didn't fit in with the other orphans, but also because Menma never called her mom, only director. I will bring the bag back, Menma said earnestly. Yakashi Nanu could only say that she couldn't accept losing her family. She was also very pleased, as it seemed that Menma wasn't so withdrawn after all, and did have some close friends. It's okay, Kabuto will come back. Yakashi Nanu squatted down and affectionately stroked Menma's black hair. She was also puzzled. She remembered that when she first found the child, he was blonde. How did his hair turn black as he grew up? Late at night, after all the children had fallen asleep, Uzumaki Menma lay in bed with his eyes closed, listening to the children's breathing around him, constantly refining the chakra within his body. But he felt as if there was a bottomless vortex around his stomach, greedily sucking up the chakra in his body. Even with the physical attributes of a Uzumaki clan member, the chakra he refined could not fill this vortex. Tick! The sound of dripping water rang out, and the vortex-like face suddenly opened its eyes. What appeared before me was not the ceiling of the orphanage, nor were there beds and those sleeping children. Instead, it was a dark and damp environment, filled with a sense of moisture and restlessness. Whirlpool-faced Ma walked barefoot in the shallow water, looking up at a tall, sealed iron gate in front of him. Behind the iron gate, a dark red figure with 9 tails gradually approached. 9 tails, it's been a long time. Uzumaki Menma called out the other's name softly, as if he were seeing an old friend. Upon closer inspection, Menma realized that what was locked inside the iron gate was a tiny 9-tailed fox, roughly the same size as himself. Where am I? The little 9-tailed fox stretched out its 2 claws and scratched at the 2 iron bars. The dark red fox fur looked like it was about to explode, and the little 9-tailed fox's voice was very different from the rugged voice of the 9-tailed fox. It had a gentle, feminine quality and a soft tone. Tusk, tusk, it really is you, 9 tails. Menma rubbed his forehead, looking at the small, dark red 9 tails in front of him. His mind began to tremble. Could that world be a real, parallel universe? But if this is the real world, why would someone born in that world be rejected from it? I'm having trouble distinguishing between noodles and sesame seeds. But at least one thing is certain. The dark 9 tails that appeared before him was the one he brought out from the Limited Tsukuyomi world, and it was a girl. It's the complete opposite of Kurama's arrogant and nerdy personality. The dark 9 tails in the Limited Tsukuyomi world is not only gentle in nature, but also has a very good relationship with Menma. It's so dark in here, let me out, little 9-tailed fox pounded on the iron gate. If someone outside sees your 9 tails form, it will cause me a lot of trouble. Uzumaki Menma looked up at the seal on the iron gate, but he only said it was going to cause trouble. He and Dark 9 Tails were very close partners in the infinite Tsukuyomi world. During the final battle, Menma controlled the 9 Tails to face the 80,000-strong allied shinobi forces, performing a scene reminiscent of Madara Uchiha's Do You Want to Dance Too? You have some strange quirks, little 9-tailed fox said, while her hands began to form hand seals. Transformation. Boom, after a puff of smoke, the tiny 9-tailed fox inside the iron gate transformed into a small fox girl. Barefoot, she wore a fiery red patterned kimono. her long dark red hair adorned with 2 fox ears that twitched up and down, and 9 fox tails that swayed in the air. I have so little chakra, this is the only way I can transform. It will take at least 3 to 5 years to fully recover. The little Nine-Tails looked down at its transformed form with some dissatisfaction and said to Ma, "However, I won't need to absorb your chakra anymore. I can recover slowly and even provide you with chakra." Looking at the little fox girl in front of him who was so eager to provide him with chakra, Uzumaki Menma raised his hand and gave her a thumbs up. He was already secretly imagining how shocked Naruto and Kurama would be when they saw Dark Kurama more than a decade later. End of this chapter. Chapter 4, Lord Pot Shadow Doesn and #039, T-Mind having a few more pots. Chapter 4, Lord Pot Shadow doesn't mind having a few more pots. At night in the orphanage, when Uzumaki Menma opened her eyes again, she had returned from the spiritual world to reality. Feeling the chakra flowing continuously through his meridians, Uzumaki Menma felt his whole body filled with power. Even with the physical attributes of his Uzumaki clan, it took him 3 years to accumulate the chakra of the mini Nine-Tails. However, with the birth of the mini Nine-Tails, Menma's chakra no longer needed to be absorbed by this bottomless pit. He can even demand chakra from the little Nine-Tails. "Little Nine-Tails, give me some chakra," Menma communicated with the little Nine-Tails in his mind. "Here'll give you the chakra from one-tailed beast ball first. I don't have much left either." The little Nine-Tails reluctantly gave Menma its meager chakra. The chakra from a single-tailed beast ball is just a drop in the ocean for a tailed beast in its normal state. But for the current little Nine-Tails, it's almost half of its total chakra. However, the amount of chakra in this tailed beast ball exceeded the total chakra of most Jonin. Shadow clone technique, Menma formed several hand seals. Bang, after a puff of smoke, a shadowy figure with a numb face appeared beside the bed. After exchanging glances and nodding with his shadow clone, Menma carefully got out of bed, while the shadow clone took Menma's place and lay down on the bed. Then Menma went to the window, opened it, but did not jump out immediately. Instead, he used the chakra of the small Nine-Tails to activate his sense of malice. The little Nine-Tails, who came from the Limited Tsukuyomi world, was regarded by the people of that world as an embodiment of hatred, loathing, and betrayal, and had an extremely keen sense of good and evil. Menma, who obtained a small amount of Nine-Tails chakra, is also very skilled in the ability of malice perception. Given that during the Fourth Shinobi World War, Kurama, the Nine-Tails, could sense malicious chakra throughout the entire main battlefield, what is the range of malicious chakra sensing? Found it without thinking twice, Menma used his malicious perception to detect the malicious chakra in a large tree less than 10 meters away from the orphanage. A white Zetsu is monitoring the orphanage. In order not to disturb the children in the orphanage or her foster mother, pharmacist Nano, Menma climbed out of the window, closed it, and then quickly teleported forward. Purple lightning chakra condensed in his palm, enveloping his right hand, forming a ninjutsu resembling a chakra scalpel. This is one of the many ninjutsu that Menma studied in the Limited Tsukuyomi world. In order to leave the Limited Tsukuyomi world, Menma Uzumaki not only captured the Jinchuriki of the tailed beasts from various countries, but also collected a lot of secret techniques and ninjutsu, and mastered a very rich amount of ninjutsu knowledge. Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. The purple lightning in his right hand emitted a soft hum, and Myanmar's right hand pierced directly through the tree. Ah, a scream rang out from the huge tree that would take at least 3 people to encircle. A figure dressed entirely in white, was dragged out of the tree by Myanmar, his pale face filled with terror. This white Zetsu couldn't understand why the kid he had been monitoring for over 2 years had discovered him, and even knew such terrifying ninjutsu. White Zetsu was weak in combat. After being pierced by a single blow, he died on the spot, leaving only a white corpse. It's a pity there's no storage scroll. Menma picked up the white Zetsu's corpse and quickly headed towards Konoha village. Menma, who was running among the trees, carried the white Zetsu's corpse in one hand and formed hand seals with the other, performing a transformation jutsu to restore his appearance in the Limited Tsukuyomi world. Beneath his short, black hair, a white three-eyed fox mask concealed his handsome face. He wore a black robe with a white fur collar covering his shoulders, red bandages wrapped around his arms and legs, and open-toed sleeves. The overall color scheme is dark, contrasting sharply with Naruto Uzumaki's orange sunsuit. Menma, what is this guy? The little nine-tailed fox perched on Menma's shoulder, peeking its head out from between its white fur collar. Looking at the white creature that Menma was carrying on one arm, she instinctively felt a sense of disgust. She had never seen anything like it in the Limited Tsukuyomi world. White Zetsu is just a tragic figure, whose chakra and life force were drained during the God Tree era. As he spoke, Menma had already arrived at the outskirts of the village. Through his malicious senses, he discovered another white Zetsu hiding inside a large tree, seemingly staring in the direction of Konoha village's gate. It seems Black Zetsu has invested quite a few white Zetsu in Konoha. Menma recalled that after Madara Uchiha's death, the corrupted Abido should have started keeping an eye on Konoha. Aside from the Hyuga clan's territory, which possesses the Byakugan, there should be a considerable number of white Zetsu lurking in the village, especially in the Uchiha clan's territory. While he was thinking, Menma rushed to the tree that was hiding the white Zetsu and cut the tree in half with a chakra chop, along with the white Zetsu inside. Carry the body and continue onward. He needed to find a way to eliminate the white Zetsu lurking around the orphanage so that he could move around more easily. Otherwise, being constantly monitored by white Zetsu would be unpleasant. However, they couldn't alert Abido Uchiha and Black Zetsu, so they had to shift the blame. Konoha village was peaceful and serene in the darkness of night. Uzumaki Menma emerged from a ninja tool shop, jumped onto a rooftop, and gazed towards the Hokage rock, taking in the panoramic view of Konoha's nightscape. He no longer had the white Zetsu's corpse in his hands, but had several storage scrolls. He also smuggled a lot of ninja tools from the shop, probably worth only the head of a Suma. Could this ninja tool shop belong to Tenten's family? Menma felt that the location of this ninja tool shop looked familiar. Never mind, I'll pay them another time. No longer dwelling on these trivial matters, Menma's gaze turned to the Hokage rock. If I remember correctly, the root's base is located beneath the Hokage rock. Menma leaped and bounded across the rooftops of Konoha village. It seems we need to develop the nine-faced Suvaha as soon as possible. Menma somewhat misses the flying ability that the Celestial Maiden in the nine-faced Subh a K, a R, a letter 1E47 a gave him. The true forms of the nine-faced beast are all foxes, and the nine-faced Subha is a summoning technique developed based on the nine-tailed fox's chakra. Therefore, it was only with the help of the little nine-tailed fox that the nine summoned beasts could be developed. Menma moved through Konoha village with his exceptional mobility and malice perception, evading some of the village's more perceptive ninjas and eliminating two white Zetsu hiding beneath the Hokage rock. However, he did not eliminate all the white Zetsu he found. He only cleared the path from the Hokage rock to the orphanage. I suppose Master Going wouldn't mind having a few more pots. By the time Abido and Black Zetsu realized what was happening, Menma should already be living alone. After finishing her work, Menma felt hungry, so she decided to find something to eat. Menma landed in a small alley, disguised himself as an ordinary black-haired boy using a transformation technique, and walked out of the alley into Ikaraku Ramen. Hey, I heard the war is about to end, and peace is coming, right? The envoy from Kumogakure arrived yesterday, and the third Hokage personally hosted a banquet for them. This war should be over by now. The two ninjas chatted while slurping their ramen. An envoy from Kumogakure, Menma sat down beside him. Yes, this year is Konoha year 54, and the war between Kumogakure and Konoha also ended in this year. End of this chapter, Chapter 5, Cloud Village Envoy Kidnaps Hinata. Chapter 5, Cloud Village Envoy Kidnaps Hinata. Hey, young man, looks like this is your first time here. The owner of Ikaraku Ramen, Tekai, asked Menma with a smile, his eyes narrowed. Would you like me to recommend some of your popular signature dishes? This isn't my first time here, Uncle Teji. Menma snapped out of his daze, looked at Teji wearing a chef's hat and squinting eyes, and ordered a bowl of ramen as if they were old friends. One bowl of miso chashu ramen, no Naruto roll, and extra bamboo shoots. Huh? Shouta looked at the boy in front of him with some confusion, but he had no recollection of him at all. I'm so sorry, sir. Maybe it's because I'm getting old. He scratched his head apologetically, then smiled and said, well, as compensation, I'll give you a generous amount of shriveled noodles. In Japanese, the pronunciation of dried bamboo shoots is the same as Menma Chinese letter. And the pronunciation of Naruto rolls is the same as Naruto Chinese letter. I don't know if it's because of the Limited Tsukuyomi world, but Menma doesn't like fish cakes and has a special fondness for dried bamboo shoots. While waiting for the ramen shop owner to start cooking, Menma listened intently to the conversation between the two Konoha ninjas next door. However, whether it was because there wasn't much more information available, or because Menma, this other person, was in the noodle shop at the moment, the two Konoha ninjas didn't continue their previous conversation and instead started talking about everyday things and gossip. They even talked about the newly published adult romance novel by the neighboring Shuido publishing house. The topic was so shocking that Menma reached out and pressed down the little nine-tailed fox that couldn't help but peek out from the fox fur collar. When was Jiraiya's Ika Paradise published? Menma remembers that as the most famous romance novel in the ninja world, Ika Paradise became a hit as soon as it was released. If Ika Paradise has already been published, then these two ninjas should be discussing this kind of topic. Young man, your miso chashu ramen is ready. While thinking, the hand-cooked uncle placed a full bowl of ramen in front of Menma. Looking at the thick layer of dried bamboo shoots on top, and smelling the aroma of the noodle soup, Menma picked up a pair of chopsticks and began to enjoy the food. I've spent the last 3 years of my life in this world in an orphanage, and I've never been outside to eat any other delicious food. At this moment, Menma was like a prisoner who had just been released from prison, slurping up mouthfuls of ramen. It even attracted the attention of two ninjas nearby. However, seeing that the other party was just a boy without a ninja headband, eating ramen like a starving ghost, he stopped paying attention. After finishing a large bowl of ramen, Menma put down his chopsticks, patted his stomach, and let out a big breath. Although he used a transformation technique, his true form is still a child. It's no wonder he's stuffed after eating so much. I'm glad the customer likes it. The middle-aged man squinted and laughed heartily. As a ramen chef, seeing the satisfied expression on a customer's face after finishing their ramen is the greatest praise he can receive. The money is left. After placing a 50-tael banknote on the table, Menma got up and left. He picked up the money and watched the other person leave, feeling that there was something strange about this person. After leaving Ikaraku Ramen, Menma walked slowly towards the Hyuga clan's territory, facing the night wind and following the direction he remembered. Now that you've eaten, you should get some exercise. As Menma walked, she took out a white three-eyed fox mask and put it on. Hyuga family residence. A ninja wearing a cloth cover quietly sneaked into the Hyuga clan head's residence. That was easy. Looking at the little girl sleeping soundly on the bed, the masked ninja took out a handkerchief soaked in sleeping potion from his pocket and used it on the little girl. After the drug took effect, the masked ninja picked up the little girl and quickly left. Rub. Inside the Hyuga clan's territory, a masked ninja, carrying a little girl in one hand, ran at top speed. Seeing that they were about to escape the Hyuga clan's territory, the masked ninja grew increasingly excited. Just in time, the show's about to begin. A voice suddenly rang out. The masked ninja was startled, stopped in his tracks and looked up. A figure appeared on the courtyard wall ahead, looking down at the masked ninja. Damn it, have we been discovered? The masked ninja looked at the courtyard wall, his expression suddenly changing beneath his mask, and then he prepared to die. This was originally part of their plan. Wait, not a Hyuga clan ninja. Suddenly, the masked ninja noticed that the person opposite him was wearing a mask, and his attire was completely unlike that of a Konoha ninja with a headband. But why is this person here? What is his purpose? The masked ninja didn't have time to think, because several figures quickly landed around him. Who dares to act so presumptuously in the Hyuga clan? Hyuga Hayashi appeared between the masked ninja and the mysterious masked man, accompanied by several guards. Hishashi, hold off the masked man. I'll save Hinata first, Hayashi Hyuga said to one of the jonin beside him. The most urgent task at this time is to rescue Hinata, who has been kidnapped. Yes, Hyuga Hisashi bowed slightly. Veins bulging in his eyes, activated his Byakugan mode, and charged towards the mysterious masked man standing on the courtyard wall. So eager to fight. Don't you even want to know what I do for a living? Uzumaki Menma stretched out a hand to block Hyuga Hisashi's gentle fist, while casually dodging Hyuga Hisashi's attacks from the courtyard wall. No matter how tricky Hyuga Hisashi's gentle fist angles were, the mysterious man opposite him could always predict his movements and moves, thus easily dodging Hisashi's attacks. He caught all of Hisashi's physical techniques with just one hand. Hyuga Hisashi, however, grew increasingly alarmed as the fight progressed. It was as if his enemy knew exactly which pressure points Hyuga's gentle fist was going to strike, protecting them with chakra beforehand. This made Hyuga's gentle fist feel like hitting a block of iron, making it impossible to seal the opponent's pressure points. We have never encountered such an enemy in more than 20 years. Damn it. Why is he so skilled? Hyuga Hisashi was surprised to find during his attack that the mysterious person opposite him was very familiar with his gentle fist techniques, even giving him the illusion that he was sparring with the head of the family. On the street below, Hayashi Hyuga rushed forward and delivered a heavy blow to the masked ninja. The original plan was simply to cripple the opponent and then interrogate them about which faction sent them. However, the masked ninja charged forward and struck Hayashi's fist with his weak point. Boom, the masked ninja was sent flying backwards, and Hinata, whom he was holding, was caught by Hayashi the moment she hit the ground. Clan Chief, the other guards also stepped forward and surrounded Rizu. The other person is dead. Hayashi handed the unconscious Hinata to the guards, then stepped forward and touched her neck, only to find that she was dead. Hayashi removed the other person's face mask, and when he saw the Cloud Village headband on the other person's forehead, his expression suddenly changed. Kumogakure ninja. Isn't this the Cloud Village Envoy who just arrived yesterday? The two Hyuga clan guards also recognized the man and looked at their clan leader with some unease. Why would the Cloud Village Envoy, who should be at the third Hokage's banquet, appear at the Hyuga clan's territory? After a moment of surprise, Hayashi Hyuga immediately turned his head and looked at the mysterious masked man who was fighting Hisashi Hyuga Hisashi. Capture him alive. Hyuga Hayashi shouted in a stern voice, his veins bulging. End of this chapter. Chapter 6, Mysterious Attack on the Village. Chapter 6, Mysterious Attack on the Village. Hyuga Hisashi, who was fighting the mysterious masked man, felt that his proud, gentle fist technique was like a stone thrown into the sea, unable to cause any real damage to his opponent. After just a dozen or so moves, Hisashi was already alarmed, while his opponent strolled leisurely along the courtyard wall, catching his attack with just one hand. The bright moonlight shone on the white three-eyed fox mask, giving it a cold sheen. The mysterious man seemed to be thoughtfully examining himself. Hyuga Hisashi activated his Byakugan, veins bulging around his temples as he tried to see through his enemy's true nature. But then they discovered that beneath that white three-eyed fox mask lay a profound darkness that swallowed all gazes, sending shivers down their spines. An indescribable sense of terror arose spontaneously, distracting Richa. Seizing the opportunity, Uzumaki Menma clenched his fist with one hand, and the force of the punch, accompanied by a piercing whistle, slammed into Hisashi's face, knocking him off the courtyard wall. The sun tumbled in the air, turned sharply, and landed with a limp, cold sweat pouring down its face. Looking up at the mysterious figure, still standing on the courtyard wall, it seemed as if a pair of eyes were calmly scrutinizing him from behind the mask. Call out. At the critical moment, Hayashi Hyuga swooped down like a white falcon and launched a direct attack on the masked man on the courtyard wall. Hyuga Hizashi followed closely behind, the two brothers using the Hyuga family's gentle fist techniques, combined with their tacit cooperation, to continuously unleash various combination moves. Hayashi launched a frontal assault, gathering chakra in his palm and shouting, 8 trigrams, 64 palms. At the same time, Hizashi quickly understood, adjusted his posture, and formed a pincer movement with his brother. He gathered chakra in his palms and launched continuous attacks with both hands, 8 trigrams, 32 palms. The two used exquisite combinations of soft fist techniques, as if weaving a chakra net, to attack the mysterious masked man from both sides. In an instant, 3 figures flashed and intertwined on the courtyard wall. The collision and turbulence of chakra stirred up gusts of wind, forcing the surrounding Hyuga ninjas to cover their faces with their sleeves and struggle against the gale. Small Rasengan, Uzumaki Menma felt it was about time, and with a clenched fist, he condensed a black Rasengan and launched it at the missing blind spot in Hyuga Hizashi's vision. In an instant, a sense of impending death enveloped Hyuga Hizashi. Without any hesitation, Hyuga Hizashi instinctively released his chakra from his acupoints, forming a bright blue chakra vortex to protect himself. Bagua reversal of fortune. Boom, the small spiral wheel struck Hizashi's rejuvenation technique squarely, the violent dark chakra tearing through rejuvenation's defenses and sending Hizashi flying. Puffed. A mouthful of blood gushed from Hizashi's mouth, and his body flew several meters away, Hizashi. Before Hayashi's bloodshot screams could finish, a cold voice suddenly rang in his ears. It's your turn. The mysterious masked man had appeared before Hayashi in an instant. At this moment, the mysterious masked man's hands were condensing a large amount of chakra, and the chakra could be vaguely seen to take the form of a ferocious lion's head. What? How could you? Hayashi's hair stood on end, and he wanted to activate the reversal. However, the mysterious man was even faster than before. Double lion fist. Uzumaki Menma unleashed both fists, striking Hyuga Hayashi hard in the chest. Hayashi Hyuga fell from the high wall like a kite with a broken string. Clan chief, the other Hyuga clan ninjas rushed forward and shielded the fallen Hayashi in their midst. A bright moon rose high in the sky, and Uzumaki Menma, wearing a white three-eyed fox mask, stood majestically atop the high wall of the Hyuga clan's gate. Behind the mask, a cold gaze seemed to scrutinize the Hyuga clan's territory. Who exactly are you? Hayashi Hyuga stood up from the ground, his chest wound quite severe, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth, staring in astonishment at the mysterious figure atop the high wall. Menma, many ninjas are rushing here quickly. Inside the fur collar, the little nine-tails perched on Menma's shoulder, informing him of the situation it had sensed. Call out. Uzumaki Menma swooped down from the high wall and appeared beside the corpse of the dead Cloud Village envoy. Every gift of fate comes with a hidden price, Uzumaki Menma said to Hyuga Hayashi, raising his white three-eyed fox mask. He then turned to look at Hyuga Hizashi, who had smashed a large crater in the ground. I'll be back. SHHHA. At this moment, countless Taoist figures arrived at the Hyuga clan's territory from all directions. Hyuga clan leader, the Anbu has been ordered to investigate. An Anbu ninja wearing a cat face mask, with short white hair and carrying a short sword, landed on the telephone pole next to the Hyuga brothers. However, the scene before him startled even the seasoned Kakashi. The head of the Hyuga clan was suspected of being seriously injured, and Hyuga Hizashi was lying in a large pit, his fate unknown. The Hyuga clans, Jonin guarding the area, also looked at the mysterious figure, not far away, with great vigilance. This guy's bounty is pretty high. The mysterious man picked up a corpse from the ground. Kakashi stared intently and discovered that it was actually a special envoy from Kumogakure. How is this possible? The Cloud Village envoy was not. An ANBU ninja landed next to Kakashi and exclaimed in surprise. But then the mysterious masked man grabbed the corpse of the Cloud hidden envoy and leaped onto the high wall in an instant. Such speed, even Kakashi, the captain of the Dark Guard, found this person troublesome. But the other party did not intend to continue fighting them. Instead, they quickly left and disappeared into the night in a few blinks. Chase, Kakashi gave the order and charged out first, followed by the Ambu ninjas who gave chase to the mysterious man. We absolutely cannot let them take away the body of the Cloud Village Envoy so easily. That would be a slap in the face to the Hidden Leaf Village. Slap the third Hokage in the face. After the mysterious enemy left and the ANBU ninjas followed, Hyuga Hayashi, clutching his chest, walked over to Hisashi, who was being treated. "Brother," Hyuga Hisashi gasped for breath, his back torn open by the dark attribute chakra of the small Rasengan wheel, the wound revealing bone and dripping with blood. He survived a small spiral wheel attack. He's incredibly lucky to be alive. As an S-rank ninjutsu comparable to wind release, Uzumaki Shuriken, the small Rasengan wheel technique, has extremely powerful single-target destructive force. "Don't speak, Hayashi. Immediately send Hisashi to Konoha Hospital," Hayashi ordered sternly. "Yes," Hyuga Himen bowed slightly, picked up Hyuga Hisashi, and sped off towards Konoha Hospital. Looking at the Hyuga clan's territory after a great battle, Hyuga Hayashi felt a lingering fear. If it weren't for the appearance of that mysterious masked man, and I had killed the Cloud Village Envoy, who knows how serious a diplomatic incident it would have caused. This could even prolong the war between Kumogakure and Konoha, resulting in more deaths and injuries. But why does that guy know the Twin Lion Fist? Hayashi Hyuga felt the lingering heat in his chest. That double lion fist strike. "Huh?" A young voice rang out from the side, interrupting Hayashi Hyuga's thoughts. He turned his head and saw that his daughter Hinata had woken up at some point. Looking at the mess around her, Hinata's chubby face showed a maturity beyond her years. Tilda Hinata put one hand on her hip, pouted and said disdainfully, "Old dang, are you trying to drag me out shopping in the middle of the night?" Puffed. Hayashi Hyuga felt a tightness in his chest and almost coughed up another mouthful of blood. Oh no, the young lady's second personality has reappeared. Hyuga Takashi, a jonin standing next to Hayashi, was on high alert and silently took a half step back. "I need your support for my new book. Anyone reading it, please give me some recommendation votes or something." End of this chapter. Chapter 7, Searching for Clues to the Tenseigan. Chapter 7, Searching for Clues to the Tenseigan Call Out. SHHA. In the forest surrounding Konoha village, 4 ANBU ninjas leaped and darted through the trees, gradually converging from various directions. No target found, an ANBU ninja stopped and stood on a branch of a large tree, using his sensory abilities to scan the surroundings. He then reported to his comrades through a communicator hanging on his ear. The technology tree in the ninja world is quite strange. The development of firearms has basically stagnated, and the level of technology is uneven, yet they already possess technological products such as radio communication and even microphones. The other ANBU ninjas also stopped and took up positions on the highest points of the tree trunks to keep watch over the surrounding area. Strange, where did they go? The sensory ninja formed hand seals again, his chakra rippling outwards, but still found nothing. Call out. A whooshing sound suddenly arose, and Kakashi, wearing a white cat mask, landed not far away. As the captain of the Anbu, Kakashi wouldn't normally be mobilized easily, but this time the incident involved the Hyuga clan, one of Konoha's 2 powerful clans. The third Hokage personally ordered Kakashi to lead a squad of Anbu ninja to investigate the situation. "Captain," the other ANBU ninjas turned their heads to look over. "Didn't you notice either?" Kakashi's single eye was serious beneath his white cat mask. After the mysterious man disappeared into the night, Kakashi immediately led the Anbu ninjas in pursuit, and they dispersed to form a large net. But even though they were almost at the village's protective boundary, they still hadn't found any trace of the other party. The orphanage has been thoroughly investigated, and no abnormalities were found, an undercover agent added. There are only a few scattered buildings in this area, and the director is Yakashi Nanu. A wandering priestess, Kakashi murmured. He had naturally heard of this man's reputation. After all, Root was one of the divisions under the Dark Division, and many of Root's spies and personnel information were reported to the Dark Division. As for the ninjas that Danzo secretly trained, they are not included in this list. Continue the search. You two search eastward along the village's protective barrier, the rest of you follow me westward, Kakashi ordered. Yes, the ninjas quickly sprang into action. Konoha Hospital, inside the intensive care unit. Hyuga Hisashi has been out of danger after being rescued by medical ninjas, and has been placed in a private ward to recuperate. After all, Hisashi was not only a Jonin, but also the head of the Hyuga branch family and the younger brother of the Hyuga clan leader. However, Hyuga Hisashi, who should have been sleeping soundly to recover from his injuries, was unable to fall asleep. He lay on the hospital bed, his white eyes staring at the hospital ceiling, his brow furrowed with deep lines. The scene of the battle just now flashed through Hisashi's mind. Facing his own and Hayashi's attacks, the mysterious man directly hit the missing point in his attack, as if he knew the situation of the Hyuga clan very well. Bang bang. There was a knock on the door. Come in. Lying on the hospital bed, Hisashi turned his head to look at the door. The door slowly opened, and Hayashi, who had changed into casual clothes, walked in. Brother, Hisashi tried with difficulty to get up and bow, but was stopped by Hayashi raising his hand. Lie down, your condition isn't good. Hayashi walked to the bedside and sat on a stool, looking at his younger brother's injuries on the bed, his face somber. Although he had a lot of resentment towards his younger brother because of what happened some time ago, he had to admit that Hisashi's fighting ability was on par with his own. Despite attacking the mysterious man from both sides, he and Hisashi were both seriously injured and slightly injured. Such a powerful ninja is definitely not an ordinary person. One should have heard of him. And I'm here to confirm with you the technique used by the mysterious person just now. Hayashi snorted lightly, putting on a serious face. Yes. Hayashi lay on the hospital bed, recalling with a gloomy expression, that person knew a lot about us, or rather, about the Hyuga clan. When I first fought him, when my gentle fist struck his pressure points, he could release chakra from those points to counter it and protect those pressure points with his own chakra. It was like hitting a block of iron. It was very difficult for Gentle Fist to seal his pressure points, let alone inject Gentle Fist chakra into his meridians. Hayashi Hyuga's fight with the mysterious man was brief, and he didn't use Gentle Fist or pressure point techniques. Instead, he directly used Baguazhang. So when he heard this, Hayashi's expression became even more serious. I tried to see his face under the mask with my Byakugan, but I found that there was an endless abyss of darkness under the mask, and his chakra was so vast that it was indescribable. And he seems to know my blind spot. Hisashi thought to himself, and his body trembled slightly. The blind spot that the caged bird seal presents to each member of the Hyuga branch family is different, making it extremely difficult to pinpoint their weaknesses in a single battle. Jonin like Hisashi have experienced many brutal battles and have never been exposed to any weakness. But today's mysterious man, after only 10 or so rounds of fighting. Hayashi crossed his arms and remained silent for a moment before slowly saying, I was defeated by his twin lion fists. What? Hisashi, lying on the hospital bed, was suddenly startled. He was already semi-conscious after being knocked away by the mysterious man, and he didn't see the terrible scene of Hayashi being sent flying by the twin lion's fist. However, as the head of the family after the division, Hisashi often saw his older brother use the double lion fist when sparring with Hayashi. The full name of the twin lion fist is Gentle Step Twin Lion Fist, a high-level taijutsu that only the Hyuga main family can learn. By clenching both fists and gathering a large amount of Gentle Fist chakra, the form changes into two lion heads attached to the fists. Combined with footwork, this greatly increases the power and range of the attack. Its learning difficulty is no less than that of the rejuvenation technique. Even Hyuga Hisashi, who was able to develop the rejuvenation technique on his own, did not develop the twin lion fist. In an instant, many possibilities flashed through Hyuga Hisashi's mind. The Hyuga family, could there be a defector? Late at night, at the Hyuga clan's main residence. After shaking off the pursuit of the A and BU ninjas, Uzumaki Menma launched a surprise attack. While Hyuga Hisashi and Hyuga Hayashi were at the hospital, Uzumaki Menma strolled into Hyuga Hayashi's study. The little nine-tailed fox jumped out from the hempen collar, landed on the desk, and started rummaging through drawers and cabinets. What did you say you were looking for? Little nine-tailed fox paused for a moment as she opened a drawer. What was she looking for? A clue about the moon and the Tenseigan. Menma stood in front of a bookshelf full of books, stretching out his right hand to search for something. It's impossible for the descendants of Otsutsuki Hagura on the moon to have no connection with the Hyuga clan of the ninja world. Otherwise, it would be impossible to explain why, among so many clans with bloodline limits in the ninja world, only the Hyuga clan developed a cursed seal technique, like the caged bird. What they are guarding against is not necessarily other clans in the ninja world taking away their Byakugan. Other clans in the ninja world who seize the Byakugan are at best able to obtain one or two, like Ao. But the Otsutsuki on the moon is a different story. Furthermore, in the Naruto movie, when Tonri Otsutsuki was a child, he and his father visited the ninja world, found the Hyuga clan's territory, and observed Hinata from afar. After Otsutsuki Tonri came of age, he sought out Hyuga Hayashi for a talk, and Hayashi went to the meeting with two trusted aides. It is possible that Hyuga Hayashi also learned something about the moon from the family's ancient records. Menma, the little nine-tailed fox who was rummaging through the drawer, suddenly sensed something and jumped into Menma's fur collar. That big sister is here, little nine-tailed fox said, then shrank into its mental space. Uzumaki Menma, who was flipping through a Byakugan user manual, paused for a moment. He pulled away his sense of malice, and a somewhat familiar chakra was approaching. Moreover, the other party seemed to be quite angry. End of this chapter, Chapter 8 Hinata and -039, S second personality. Chapter 8 Hinata's second personality. There was a squeak. The study door was opened, and a rather petite figure slowly walked into the dimly lit room. The moonlight shone in from outside, casting a long shadow of the little guy. This is really troublesome. I thought you wouldn't follow me. Menma stepped out of the shadows, scratching his head, looking quite confused. Even though the Limited Tsukuyomi world is fake, why did Dark Kurama follow us, and why did his girlfriend follow us too? Inside the Hyuga clan chief's study, two figures, one tall and one short, faced each other less than 2 meters apart. Whirlpool Menma removed his white three-eyed fox mask and gazed down at the small figure standing in the doorway under the bright moonlight. Hinata. Compared to the gentle and timid Hinata, the Hinata who appeared in front of Menma at this moment had her Byakugan activated, with bulging veins around her temples, staring intently at Menma, who had taken off his mask. Those pure white eyes churned with resentment and complex emotions that were hard to express. Hinata raised one hand, gathering gentle fist chakra, and charged straight at Menma. "You," Hinata shouted as she jumped up, but tears fell before the force of her punches could reach her. "You scumbag!" This soft fist struck Menma squarely in the chest, instantly shattering Menma's transformation technique. Bang! As the smoke dissipated, Menma reverted to his original child form. "I'm sorry, Hinata." A soft exclamation caused Hinata to lose control of her emotions. She threw herself onto Menma and burst into tears. You know perfectly well. No matter what you do, I will forgive you," Hinata cried, opening her small mouth and biting Menma's shoulder hard, venting the grievances she had held for so many years. "Hiss, you actually bit me," Menma gasped but indulged Hinata's willfulness. If it were the gentle Hinata from the Naruto manga and anime, she would never do such a thing. But if it's Hinata, the head of the family, who acts impulsively and has a fiery temper in the movie Limited Tsukuyomi World, then everything makes sense. A moment later, Hinata, exhausted from crying, sat on Hayashi's desk, her eyes still streaked with tears. She rested her round face in her hands, watching Menma transform back into an adult and rummage through her father's collection of books. After waking up, Hinata was escorted back to the main house. But she also learned from the guards about the attack that night, that a mysterious person wearing a white three-eyed fox mask had launched an attack on the Hyuga family. So Hinata kept her Byakugan active after returning. She vaguely remembered that Menma was very interested in the history of the Hyuga clan, so she was sure he would come back tonight. That's when they caught Menma red-handed in the study. "If our world is fake, then why do I exist?" Hinata asked. "I also find it strange. Not only you, but the Dark Nine Tails has also been resurrected inside me." Menma flipped through these books, and those that he found useful or of historical value were directly sent into storage scrolls. After all, there are so many classic texts that it's impossible to finish reading them all in a short time. But I can definitely feel the rejection from that world and all sorts of unreality. There's no legend of the Sage of Six Paths, but the feelings you give me are so real, so sometimes I really can't tell the difference. Menma pondered for a while, then felt a headache coming on, and his temples throbbed twice. How should I put it? Hinata, dressed in a white kimono, swung her bare little feet in the air. Actually, there's another personality, or rather, a soul, inside this body of mine, with a personality completely opposite to mine. Hinata pointed to her chest. Upon hearing this, Menma turned his head to look at Hinata. He thought that with the appearance of Big Sister Hinata, the other Hinata would dissipate, but it turns out it's one body with two souls. "Hinata, let me introduce you. This is my scumbag boyfriend that I often mention to you, Menma." Hinata raised her head and spoke to herself, then lowered her head again. The next moment, Hinata suddenly raised her head, her face full of panicked and shy expressions. Sister, don't do this." The little Hinata in front of me, her face flushed and almost steaming, must be the real Hinata from the manga and anime. Menma looked at Hinata with great interest, reached out and placed his palm on her head, stroking her short hair. "Nice to meet you. My name is Menma." Hello, my name is also Hinata." Hinata's voice was barely audible. Feeling the gentle, large hand above her head, Hinata blushed even more. She lowered her head, twisted her small hands in front of her chest, and shyly curled her feet together. "Then how should I address you?" Menma bowed and moved closer to Hinata. Usually, I'm the one outside. My sister sleeps most of the time," Hinata said shyly in a low voice, looking at the face so close to hers. It seems that even Hinata's soul needs chakra to be maintained. Menma pondered deeply. In the ninja world setting, the relationship between chakra and the soul is very subtle. "Okay, then I'll call you Hinata." Menma really liked this Hinata. "You can call me Menma, or you can just call me brother-in-law." Menma gave himself a thumbs up. Hinata's round face was full of shyness, and there seemed to be a light in her white eyes as she looked at Menma. From the time she could remember, she knew that there was a hot-tempered older sister inside her body. As the heir to the main branch of the Hyuga ninja clan, Hinata began receiving rigorous training from a young age, but her gentle yet somewhat timid personality greatly disappointed her father and the elders of the main branch. At crucial moments, it's always Hinata, the eldest sister, who steps up, demonstrating not only exceptional learning abilities, but also utterly humiliating her father and the elders of the main family. They addressed Hayashi and the elders of the main family as Old Deng, Old Codger, and Old Man. It's fair to say that every member of the Hyuga clan, whether an elder of the main family or a guard of the branch family, has been verbally abused by their leader, Hinata. Hayashi Hyuga both liked and felt helpless about Hinata's second personality. He liked her learning ability and decisive style, believing that she was very suitable as the heir of the main family. Unfortunately, he always refers to him as Old Deng, which shows no sign of being raised in a large family. Hinata often hears her older sister mention her scumbag boyfriend and is very curious about this man her sister can't forget. Snapped. Hinata suddenly raised her small hand and slapped Menma's arm away. "You scumbag, don't you dare lay a finger on my sister." Hinata, the leader, regained control and accused Menma of being a complete jerk. "Back then, you were so in love. saying all sorts of cheesy sweet nothings. You even said you wanted to have a son and a daughter with me. Hinata, the leader, gritted her teeth and clenched her fists as she recalled how this man had tricked her into having S*X with her in that world. This is something I can hear. In Hinata's mental space, little Hinata's face was as red as a steam engine, and she covered her face. Ah, so you know that was back then. Menma withdrew his hand, chuckling awkwardly. Go to hell, you filthy scumbag. Hinata's gentle fist came flying at him. End of this chapter. Chapter 9 Danzo, I am the Hokage. Chapter 9 Danzo, I am the Hokage. Lord Danzo, the Hokage requests your immediate attendance at an emergency meeting. Inside the root base, an Anbu ninja belonging to the Hokage bowed respectfully to Danzo, who was sitting behind his desk. I understand, I'll set off now. Danzo replied calmly, half of his face wrapped in bandages. After the ANBU ninja left, Danzo immediately summoned his trusted confidant, Aburame Ryoma. Has the situation last night been investigated thoroughly? Danzo tapped the armrest lightly with his right hand, which was wrapped in bandages. This is his arm, where he received a transplant of interstitial cells, and it's throbbing slightly. Reporting to Lord Danzo, Ryoma Aburame reported in a deep voice, last night, a mysterious masked ninja attacked the Hyuga clan's territory. Hisashi Hyuga was seriously injured and sent to Konoha Hospital. Hayashi Hyuga was also slightly injured, and the Kumogakure Envoy has also gone missing. The Hyuga clan, upon hearing that it was a mysterious ninja wearing a mask, Danzo's left eye narrowed and his brows furrowed slightly. He couldn't help but think that there seemed to be a mysterious masked person within the Akatsuki organization. But after that battle 4 years ago, the Akatsuki went into hiding and stopped recruiting. Danzo's subordinates also had no further information about the Akatsuki. They could only indirectly obtain some scattered information about the Akatsuki through spies lurking in Aimgakure. A member of Akatsuki? A sinister glint flashed in Danzo's eyes. The regret of not being able to seize the Rinnegan still haunted him. It's unlikely, Ryoma Aburame analyzed. The spies lurking in Aimgakure haven't sent any information. If Akatsuki wanted revenge, they would target Hanzo of the Salamander first, and there's no reason for them to attack the Hyuga clan. 4 years ago, during the siege, Danzo, together with Hanzo of the Salamander, mobilized most of the root ninjas, forcing Yahiko to his death and also triggering Nagato's Rinnegan to erupt. The Akatsuki organization is now reduced to a few remnants, who are hiding in Aimgakure, gathering strength for revenge. If the Akatsuki were to seek revenge, their first target would undoubtedly be Hanzo of the Salamander, who is closer to them. Let's go, don't keep the Hokage waiting. Danzo slowly stood up and hid his bandaged right arm in his wide robe. Aburame Ryoma then followed. The atmosphere inside the Hokage building's conference room was heavy, filled with smoke. When Shimura Danzo entered the meeting room with a sullen face, all the Konoha high-ranking officials were already present. The third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi, wearing the Hokage's robes, sat regally in the head seat at the very top. On the left are 2 senior advisors, Mitokado Himura and Udatane Koharu. On the right sat the injured Hyuga Hayashi. A member of the Anbu, wearing a white cat mask, stood silently behind the Hokage. Danzo, you're a little late. Mitokado Himura pushed up his glasses with his right index finger, scrutinizing his old friend behind the lenses. The affairs of the root are complicated. Danzo simply said, then walked over and sat down next to Hayashi Hyuga. All right, everyone's here. Hiruzen Sarutobi put down the document in his hand, took a puff of his pipe, and said to Kakashi behind him, give this document to Danzo for review. Yes, the silver-haired ANBU bowed slightly, picked up the documents from Hiruzen Sarutobi's desk, and walked to Danzo's side. Danzo's left eye narrowed slightly when he saw the report compiled by the Anbu. Hiruzen Sarutobi continued, the mysterious person who attacked the Hyuga clan last night killed the Kumogakure Envoy and dumped the body on the Hyuga clan's territory, intending to frame the Hyuga clan. Fortunately, Hayashi discovered the anomaly in time and took the initiative to attack, thus avoiding more serious consequences. However, the opponent is very strong. Hisashi was seriously injured, and Hayashi also suffered some minor injuries. I sent the Anbu to pursue them, but we lost track of them. The enemy seems to know a lot about Konoha's barrier. This is no small matter. I've already had the barrier team and the Anbu investigate. After saying that, Hiruzen Sarutobi put down his pipe and exhaled a puff of smoke. Of course, Hayashi Hyuga couldn't truthfully report that he killed the Cloud Village Envoy himself last night. Hayashi Hyuga shifted all blame for last night's events to the mysterious man, and the fact that the two Hyuga clan leaders, one seriously injured and the other slightly injured, was enough to give an explanation to Konoha. Even if the hidden Cloud Village questions it, the Hokage's higher-ups can't blame the Hyuga clan. Otherwise, what would the other ninja clans think? Third Hokage, Hayashi Hyuga added. This morning when I returned to the clan compound, I discovered that the study had been broken into. Okay, Hiruzen Sarutobi frowned and said in a deep voice. It seems that he escaped the pursuit of the Anbu ninjas and launched a surprise attack. The enemy is very familiar with the terrain of our village, Hiruzen Sarutobi mused. The first thing that came to his mind was the rogue ninja who had defected in recent years. But upon closer examination, he couldn't think of any rogue ninja with such strength, capable of fighting the two Hyuga clan leaders alone. Such a powerful ninja couldn't possibly be unknown. In the present Konoha, Orochimaru and Itachi Uchiha have not yet defected. Among the hundreds of recorded rogue ninja, the strongest should be Haruko. What are the characteristics of the ninjutsu used by the other side? Danzo asked Hayashi Hyuga after reading the Anbu's report. Could such a powerful ninja have been enemies with the Hyuga clan during the last war? Hayashi Hyuga carefully considered his words. The opponent's taijutsu skills are extremely high, and he has done a good job of studying the Hyuga clan's gentle fist, but his taijutsu style is unknown. The Japanese team was too embarrassed to admit that their opponents had defeated the two brothers in just over 10 rounds, so they could only fabricate some explanations. The ninjutsu he used was one I'd never seen before. It seemed to condense chakra into a sphere, and its destructive power was immense, Hayashi added. Chakra condensed into a sphere. The first thing Hiruzen Sarutobi thought of was the Rasengan invented by the fourth Hokage. However, Hayashi Hyuga added, it is somewhat similar to the Rasengan invented by the fourth Hokage, but the ninjutsu is much larger. Moreover, compared to the brightness of the Rasengan, the enemy's spherical ninjutsu is dark in color and has an astonishing destructive power. Hisashi was hit by this move and almost lost his life. So what exactly is his purpose? Koharu Udatane asked, somewhat puzzled. Is it to provoke a war between Kumogakure and Konoha? The Cloud Village Envoy died in the Hyuga clan's territory. If the Hyuga clan hadn't held off this mysterious person until the Anbu ninjas arrived, they might have been framed for the death. Hayashi Hyuga said, without changing his expression, perhaps. In reality, he himself was unsure of the mysterious person's true purpose. He had discovered and killed the Cloud Village Envoy who had kidnapped Hinata. If this mysterious person hadn't been there, the meeting might have turned into a confrontation between the Konoha leadership and the Hyuga clan, questioning their intentions. I will have someone inform Jiraiya and the ninjas traveling abroad to inquire about this mysterious person. The meeting ultimately failed to reach a clear conclusion. Hiruzen Sarutobi could only order increased vigilance and send people to contact Jiraiya and other ninjas outside to gather information. After everyone else had left, only Danzo remained in the meeting room. Hiruzen. Danzo's one eye looked at Hiruzen Sarutobi, who was wearing a divine robe, and suddenly turned cold. It's only been 3 years since the Nine-Tails attack, and the village has been attacked again. Is this the achievement you've made since you returned to this position? The village is currently lacking in high-level combat power, so why not hand Naruto over to Root? Hiruzen Sarutobi interrupted sharply. That's Minato's child. Precisely because they are Minato's children, they should be nurtured with great care. The third Hokage declared resolutely, Enough, Danzo, I am the Hokage. Hiruzen, you'll regret this. Shimura Danzo said, slamming the door behind him as he left. Door bang, end of this chapter. Chapter 10, The Truth About the Caged Bird. Chapter 10, The Truth About the Caged Bird Inside Konoha Hospital. Hyuga Hisashi tossed and turned in bed for most of the night, before finally succumbing to exhaustion and drifting off to sleep. In his sleep, Rigi vaguely sensed the sound of wind. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself in the Hyuga clan's council hall, where candlelight flickered. Konoha is no longer able to continue the war with Kumogakure. We, the Hyuga clan, must give Kumogakure an explanation. Hyuga Hayashi knelt in the main seat, his shadow elongated by the candlelight. The elders of the Hyuga main family and the ninjas of the branch family below were all surprised. Why, it was clearly that Cloud Village that kidnapped Hinata. A branch family Jonin said, quite dissatisfied. Because we can't fight anymore. How could Hayashi Hyuga be willing to accept this? However, the pressure from the entire Hidden Leaf Village is now pressing on the Hyuga clan. An uproar erupted in the hall, and a member of the clan elder's disdainful gaze flickered in the shadows. What conditions did Union propose? Yes, what does the Cloud Village want from being so aggressive? The Hyuga ninjas in the council hall all looked toward their clan leader, who sat in the main seat. A murderer, Hayashi's answer made the air freeze. As Ritsu finished speaking, the discussions in the council hall grew even louder. Neither the main family, nor the branch family of the Hyuga ninja, could accept such conditions. It was clearly the Cloud Village envoy who ran to the Hyuga clan's territory and kidnapped the Hyuga clan's young lady, and was killed on the spot, yet the victim is being asked to hand her over. There's no need for the clan leader to intervene. If all we need is the culprit, just give us one. The clan leader's long eyebrows framed his deep white eyes as he gazed intently at the branch family's seat. Hyuga Hisashi was about to ask, "Where is the mysterious person from last night?" But he found his body standing up uncontrollably, and he walked to Hayashi, knelt down cross-legged and said, "Let me go, brother." The value of the branch family is to protect the main family. As the head of the Hyuga clan, you absolutely cannot be harmed. No, that's not how it is. Hisashi felt as if his soul had left his body, standing aside watching his indifferent self utter these words. Where is that mysterious person? Isn't there such a mysterious person? Just pin the death of the Cloud Village envoy on him. Hisashi shouted at himself from the side. However, the Hyuga ninjas in the council hall seemed oblivious to him, still discussing the feasibility. Hyuga Hayashi wanted to say something, but himself stepped forward and punched him, telling him to take responsibility for the main family. Next, after watching himself say his last words to his son Neji, Hisashi gladly faced death. With the Hyuga clan handing over the murderer of the Kumogakure envoy, Kumogakure had nothing more to say. As a bystander, Hijichi watched helplessly as himself walked towards death, and at his funeral, his wife and children embraced each other and wailed. He felt a chill run through his body. No, it's an illusion. It's fake, it's all fake. The intense emotional stimulation made Hisashi realize something was wrong, and he began to use his chakra to interfere. But he was never able to break free from the illusion. Suddenly everything went black, and Hisashi was back at Konoha Hospital. He suddenly sat up in bed, his body covered in cold sweat that soaked through his bandages. Was it a dream? Hisashi asked breathlessly, touching his forehead with his right hand. It's not a dream. Suddenly, a cold voice came from the side. Hijiri shuddered and turned to look, only to see a mysterious person wearing a long robe and a white three-eyed fox mask leaning against the window. The bright moonlight shone on the three-eyed fox mask, giving it a cold, faint glow. It's you, Hisashi felt as if he were facing a formidable enemy. He tried to get up from his hospital bed to meet the enemy, but found himself as if he were imprisoned and unable to leave the bed. It's still an illusion. Cold sweat poured down Hisashi's forehead. Even ordinary Jonin might not be able to master such a multi-layered illusion technique. Tread. Uzumaki Menma jumped down from the windowsill and slowly walked towards Hisashi. Who are you? What is your purpose? Hisashi was still trying to struggle, but no matter how he tried to interrupt the flow of chakra within his body, he could not break through this illusionary world. How pathetic. Uzumaki Menma approached Hisashi. What you just saw would have been your fate if it weren't for me. Upon hearing this, Hisashi shook his head, trying to refute. Impossible. Even without you, the Cloud Village envoy kidnapping the Hyuga clan's young lady and being killed would only be. As he was talking, Risa suddenly stopped, feeling as if he had fallen into an ice cave. Even a top-tier ninja like White Fang was forced to his death, so why couldn't a ninja from the Hyuga branch family be used as a scapegoat? See, deep down, you've accepted this fate. Uzumaki Menma's voice was deep and tinged with sorrow. That's why I said it's pathetic. The original intention of the caged bird seal was to protect the Hyuga clan, but it turned most of the Hyuga clan into servants and inferior people. Hisashi instinctively retorted, "What do you know? The existence of the caged bird seal, the existence of the Hyuga branch family, it's all for." "Do you want to know?" Uzumaki Menma interrupted Hisashi. The truth about the caged bird. The three-eyed fox mask slowly approached Hyuga Hisashi. Menma reached out and gently pressed his hand against Hisashi's forehead. A violent, dark chakra invaded Hisashi's brain. In an instant, Risa saw a different scene again. On a vast, empty battlefield, two armies with different flags were facing each other, and then a fierce battle broke out. Hisashi stood in the center of the battlefield, looking at the enemies fighting all around him. They wore strange clothes, and their races were slightly different from those of the people of the Land of Fire. But what Hisashi found incredible was that everyone in this war had a pair of white eyes. The scene changes. In the ninja world, ninjas dressed in Sengoku-era ninja attire, with the Hyuga clan crest printed on their backs, are being hunted down. And the culprit turns out to be one of the people who were just confronting each other. Countless Hyuga clan members were massacred, their Byakugan were dug out, and then these mysterious figures disappeared from the ninja world. The scene changes again. When the two armies faced each other, one side's soldiers kept their eyes closed and used only their mental perception. A tall tower was raised from the ranks of the army, and on top of the tower, an eyeball-shaped stone was bound by various runic chains. The army commander waved his hand, and the eye-shaped stone burst forth with a blinding light, a purple beam shooting towards the charging enemy troops. Wherever the purple beam swept, explosions erupted one after another. The thousands of troops on the other side were wiped out. This is. Hisashi watched as the victorious side on the battlefield plundered the white eyes of the defeated side and then incorporated them into an eyeball-shaped stone, and his mind was greatly shocked. This is the truth behind the existence of the caged bird. As the mysterious man finished speaking, the battlefield around Hisashi changed once again. Before me stood members of the Hyuga clan, with the conspicuous caged bird curse mark on their foreheads. "Fake, it's all fake," Richa roared furiously. More than 20 years of clan education made it impossible for him to accept this fact. "These are all illusions you've created. They're all fake. I can tell the difference. I can tell the difference. Don't even think about trying to sow discord between the Hyuga main family and the branch family." Within the illusion space, Hyuga Hisashi denied it almost frantically. Well then, how about this? Uzumaki Menma appeared in front of Hisashi in the illusion space, forming a hand seal with one hand. A surge of chakra emanated from Uzumaki Menma's body, precisely striking Hisashi. The next moment, Hisashi's brain felt as if it had been pierced by 1,000 swords, and he experienced intense pain. The caged bird spell seal is activated. Why would you? Hisashi clutched his head with both hands, his face contorted in horror, his white eyes filled with shock and fear. "The contract has been signed. Please feel free to invest. End of this chapter. Chapter 11, pledge your allegiance to me." Chapter 11, pledge your allegiance to me. I had just experienced that kind of pain, which felt like 1,000 shurikens stabbing my brain not long ago. It was during Hinata's training that he showed a deep killing intent towards the exceptionally talented Hinata, which was noticed by Hayashi Hyuga, who then used the caged bird technique to punish him. And it happened right in front of Neji. But why does this mysterious person know the activation seal of the caged bird curse? This is arguably the most core secret of the Hyuga main family, never leaked for hundreds of years, and passed down orally only by successive clan heads and elders. No one outside the main family could possibly know this. Furthermore, in the hundreds of years since the creation of the caged bird seal, there has never been any non-family member who has ever used caged bird. However, the person in front of him repeatedly shattered Hisashi Hyuga's traditional understanding of the Hyuga clan. As the vortex-like facial numbness subsided and the hand seals were completed, Risa's splitting headache finally eased considerably. "You are not a member of the Hyuga clan?" Hyuga Hisashi gasped for breath, looking at the mysterious man before him with lingering fear. This was the only thing he was certain of. "You are not one of those who slaughtered my Hyuga clan." Unbeknownst to him, Hyuga Hisashi had already accepted the historical truth instilled in him by Uzumaki Menma. The Hyuga clan has had its Byakugan leaked out before. For example, Ao from Kirigakure stole the Byakugan from a member of the Hyuga main clan during the Third Shinobi World War, thus earning him the reputation of Byakugan killer. However, these are extremely rare incidents and are far from sufficient to make the caged bird technique widely adopted by the Hyuga clan. Therefore, only an external enemy so powerful that even the Hyuga clan would find it difficult to contend with could explain how the Hyuga clan's caged bird came into being. Your target is that eyeball formed by the fusion of numerous Byakugan, isn't it? Hyuga Hisashi's voice trembled slightly as he recalled the power of that giant eyeball. He was not an ordinary person. On the contrary, Hisashi was very smart, so smart that he was willing to leave a so-called last will after being forced to commit suicide, instructing Neji not to resent the main family. However, this suicide note remained in Hayashi's possession until the first Chunin exams, when he finally gave it to Neji. Isn't this also a form of protection that Hisashi is giving to Neji? You are very smart, which is one of the reasons why I chose you instead of your brother. Uzumaki Menma did not deny his ambition. The existence of a giant Tenseigan is equivalent to a space-based weapon that can launch an attack on the ninja world directly from the moon, and the people of the ninja world have no power to fight back. Such a powerful weapon is something that Whirlpool Menma naturally wants to possess. He had also searched for traces of the giant Tenseigan and the Otsutsuki clan on the moon during the Limited Tsukuyomi world. But unfortunately, he found nothing even after searching through all the Hyuga clan's records in that world. Hearing the other person compare him to his brother, Rich's knuckles turned white. "You're no worse than him, and I can sense that you've already mastered the essence of the 8 trigrams, 64 palms, so why didn't you use it in the previous battle?" Uzumaki Menma continued to provoke Hisashi with his words. Yes. Recalling the previous battle, if it weren't for the sense of impending death brought about by the mysterious man's attack on that blind spot, Hisashi would never have used the return to heaven technique. "I am no worse than him," Hisashi murmured to himself. This has been a source of anxiety for him for over 20 years. Just because he was born a dozen minutes later, he, as a twin, could only be relegated to the separate family. Not only was the caged bird tattooed on his forehead, but he was also unable to learn higher-level gentle fist techniques and the Hyuga family's secret techniques. Even their own children, their descendants, will be branded as caged birds for generations to come, swear allegiance to me. Wearing a white three-eyed fox mask, Uzumaki Menma approached Hyuga Hisashi, extended his right hand, and formed a hand seal. Seal in the cage. After completing the hand seal, the numb-faced man placed his right hand on Hisashi's forehead. A dark, violent surge of chakra flooded Hisashi's brain, temporarily sealing the caged bird seal. In that instant, Hisashi felt a clarity he had never experienced before. Free. Although the caged bird curse mark on Risha's forehead was not completely erased, it had become much dimmer. The lingering pain vanished instantly, and the blind spot behind his head disappeared, restoring his 360-degree wide-eye vision. A tear streamed from Hyuga Hisashi's Byakugan, slowly sliding down his cheek. He's almost forgotten what it feels like to be rolled his eyes at 360 degrees. This long-awaited freedom stirred up Hyuga Hisashi, who had been dormant for over 20 years and had almost resigned himself to his fate. once again. This technique will only last for 24 hours. Uzumaki Menma withdrew his right hand. This is a seal he specifically researched in the Limited Tsukuyomi world to target the caged bird using the sealing talent of the Uzumaki clan. The principle is actually quite simple. Cursed seals like the caged bird seal are mainly a combination of sealing techniques and chakra. These seals are like parasites, feeding on the target's chakra to maintain their own existence. Therefore, as long as one is proficient in sealing techniques and conducts specialized research, one can naturally develop a sealing technique to temporarily seal the caged bird. But it was only a temporary seal. However, there are at least 3 ways to completely eliminate the caged bird problem. It's a pity that these methods cannot be tested in the Limited Tsukuyomi world. Moreover, who would dare to study such a simple sealing technique? The Uzumaki clan, masters of sealing techniques, suffered the destruction of their nation and clan. Only a handful of ninjas in Konoha village remained skilled in sealing techniques. Whenever a Hyuga clan ninja has a chance to get close to a sealing technique, the main family will stop them immediately. Hyuga Hisashi raised his hand and touched the caged bird on his forehead, savoring this rare moment of freedom. Do you want to be a coward for life, or a hero who separates the family, even if it's just for a few minutes? Uzumaki Menma dispelled the illusion space and disappeared from Hisashi's sight. When Nishai returned to the ward, the bright sunlight streaming through the window gave him a sense of unreality. After experiencing multiple illusions, he was somewhat unable to distinguish whether this was reality or an illusionary world. As Hiyori activated his Byakugan, he felt an unprecedented sense of exhilaration and comfort as he regained his 360-degree perspective. Is this the breath of freedom? Hisashi thought of his child. While Neji was wailing in agony during the ceremony to have the caged bird, curse mark, inscribed on him, his father could only kneel by and watch with worry. He thought of the clansmen who had been separated from the family and had their images carved on their faces like caged birds, their eyes filled with numbness and deep resentment. And his older brother, Hayashi Hyuga, who was destined to be superior simply because he was born earlier than him. To be a coward for life, or a hero for a few minutes, the mysterious man's whisper coiled around Hiji's mind like a venomous snake. I'm eagerly awaiting your reading of my new book and requesting all kinds of data. Thank you so much, dear readers. End of this chapter. Chapter 12, The Child of Darkness, The Toad Sage and #039's Prophecy. Chapter 12, The Child of Darkness, The Toad Sage's Prophecy. With the third Hokage's order, all the ninjas in Konoha were mobilized to search the village's protective barrier. The task of the barrier class is even more important. This is the second time in 3 years that a mysterious ninja has silently broken through the barrier and infiltrated the village, while the barrier team has been rendered useless, which has greatly angered the third Hokage. 3 years ago, when the Nine-Tails wreaked havoc, ordinary villagers and ninjas thought it was just the Nine-Tails going berserk. However, only the Konoha leadership knew that it was a meticulously planned attack. This resulted in the deaths of the fourth Hokage and his wife, Baiwako, the third Hokage's wife, and a female medical ninja who delivered the baby. This time, another mysterious ninja infiltrated and killed the Cloud Village Envoy, attempting to provoke a war between the two countries. In an effort to stop the enemy, the Hyuga clan, one of the 2 clan leaders, suffered serious injuries and the other minor injuries. Even though Kumogakure had some doubts, the Konoha leadership remained resolute. They insisted that the mysterious ninja had killed the Cloud Village Envoy. This resolute attitude ultimately thwarted the Cloud Village's conspiracy. The other side. Behind the shadowy root base, Danzo listened to his subordinate Ryoma Aburam's report and let out a soft hum. It seems quite lively outside, Lord Danzo. Orochimaru pushed open the door to Danzo's office. On his way from the secret laboratory to the root base, he saw that many Konoha ninjas had been mobilized, and even some Anbu ninjas. Such a large-scale operation made even this science fanatic, who had spent a lot of time in the laboratory, a little curious. Danzo sat in the chair and did not answer Orochimaru directly, but instead gestured for Aburame Ryoma to explain. Ryoma Aburame understood immediately and said to Orochimaru, "Last night, a mysterious ninja infiltrated the village, killed the Kumogakure Envoy, and dumped the Kumogakure's body on the Hyuga clan's territory." How did the two Hyuga clan leaders manage to escape unscathed from the pursuit of numerous Hyuga Jinin and root ninjas, and even kill a mysterious ninja who had returned from a surprise attack? Orochimaru's golden eyes flashed with interest, and he licked his lips with his long tongue. It seems the outside world is still as wonderful as ever. Orochimaru had fought alongside the Hyuga clan chief and his brother, and knew their fighting prowess well. Even if the enemy was the cage of an entire village, they could retreat with ease. All right, enough of that. I've come here hoping that Lord Danzo will provide more test subjects. Orochimaru spread out his right hand, directly demanding research funding and materials from Danzo. Upon hearing this, Danzo frowned, his one eye creased. "You've already used up the test subjects I gave you last time." Danzo was somewhat dissatisfied with Orochimaru's speed in consuming experimental equipment. "After all, we've made some progress, so ordinary test subjects can no longer meet my needs." Orochimaru tossed a strand of his long hair aside, becoming increasingly confident in his research direction. Although Danzo managed to snag that accidental would-release test subject, his existence also demonstrated that Orochimaru's research direction was feasible. Orochimaru, not content with using ordinary people as test subjects, continued to demand more ninjas from Danzo as experimental subjects. "I'll have someone send it to you, but don't go too far," Danzo warned grimly. The prisoners in Konoha's prisons weren't enough to cause trouble anymore, and Danzo had also captured quite a few civilian ninjas over the years. In Danzo's eyes, all sacrifices were worthwhile in order to make Konoha great again, as long as it's not yourself who has to sacrifice. "HMPH, then I'll wait for good news." Orochimaru grunted twice, let out a meaningful chuckle, and disappeared into the shadows. The Kingdom of Tang, its capital. This city, built on a hot spring, has always been a tourist destination in the ninja world. Because the land of hot springs is located in the northeast of the ninja world continent, bordering the land of lightning, the land of moon, the land of sound, the land of fire, the land of water, and the land of waves, it has contributed to the city's economic prosperity. In a brothel, Jiraiya was surrounded by geisha, chatting about various interesting stories in the ninja world, completely absorbed in the beauty and charm of the women. Bang! Suddenly, a puff of smoke dissipated, and a small, entirely red toad with a pair of diving goggles around its neck appeared in the room. "Jiraiya!" the toad shouted, but the loud laughter and chatter in the room went unnoticed. Helpless, the little toad jumped onto Jiraiya's face. Jiraiya, who was drinking at the time, was startled. After realizing that it was a toad from Mount Myaboku, Jiraiya sobered up a bit and quickly chased the geisha and courtesans out of the room. The geishas, who had just been all lovey-dovey with Jiraiya, left the room with resentful expressions on their faces. "Gama Kasuk, what brings you here?" Jiraiya removed Gama Kasuk from his face, took out the teapot next to him, and drank directly from it. "Lord Fukasaku sent me to find you," Gamabunta urged Jiraiya. After drinking a large pot of tea, Jiraiya began to perform the reverse summoning technique. Together with Gamakatsu Kasuk, they arrived at Mount Myaboku, one of the 3 sacred sites. In a vast expanse of water, stone toad statues stand everywhere, while at the end of the lake, a wooden palace stands high above. "Master Fukasaku, you were looking for me." When Jiraiya arrived, Fukasaku and Shima, the 2 toads, had already been waiting in front of the palace for a while. Compared to Jiraiya, who reeked of alcohol and seemed rather nonchalant, Fukasaku the toad said with a serious expression, "The great toad sage said he dreamed of something terrible." "Huh, something terrible?" Jiraiya was instantly sober. He hadn't heard the great toad sage's prophecy for a long time, so why was it bad news this time? Jiraiya then hurriedly entered the palace with the 2 toads, Fukasaku and Shima. Deep within the palace, a large orange toad, wearing something resembling a doctoral cap on its head, sat submerged in a pot, with a string of beads hanging from its chest. among which the bead with the character oil was the most conspicuous. Great Toad Sage. Jirya knelt on one knee and looked up at the Great Toad Sage. Ah, it's little Jirya. The Great Toad Sage slowly opened one eye. What brings you here? Upon hearing the Great Toad Sage's question, Jirya stumbled and fell to the ground. Fukasaku and Shima jumped to either side of the Great Toad Sage, and Shima immediately scolded, "You're the one who called Jirya here, aren't you senile?" Oh, the Great Toad Sage recalled for a moment and said slowly, "I remember now, I had a dream." In the dream, the entire ninja world was gradually shrouded in darkness, and all countries and ninja villages, including the 5 great nations, were swallowed up by the darkness. Jirya was shocked. The prophetic child that the Great Toad Sage had predicted would bring about change in the ninja world was not this detailed. "I saw a figure in the darkness, a figure too dark to look at, that would utterly destroy the entire world." The Great Toad Sage continued. "Do you have more detailed characteristics of him?" Jirya frowned, though he didn't have much hope. "The abyss," the Great Toad Sage said slowly, when he turned around. "All I saw was an endless abyss, an abyss that even I felt my heart tremble." "The abyss," Jirya mused. "The child of darkness who will destroy the world. I need your support, anything you can give." End of this chapter. Chapter 13, Nine-Faced Suvaha. Chapter 13, Nine-Faced Suvaha. The sunlight lazily spread across the grass, where the children of the Konoha orphanage were laughing and playing under the care of their caregivers. Although Kabuto Yakashi had only left the day before yesterday, they were still just a group of children, and they quickly regained their lively and active nature, and laughter soon echoed through the orphanage again. Pharmacist Nanu leaned against the window of her office, watching the children playing outside, and a gentle smile appeared on her face. She wished this moment could last forever. "Director, are you really leaving?" An older female caregiver walked over from behind, clutching the edge of her apron, her face full of worry. That night, when Danzo came to her door, she was also present as the dean's deputy. "Yuna, after I leave, I'll leave the children in your care." Yakashi Nanu gave a perfectly timed smile as she turned around. The female caregiver, named Yuna, sighed. It took Mingaming so much effort to get the orphanage to where it is now. Much of the orphanage's funding came from Yakashi Nanu, including her own mission rewards, as well as the rewards she received for taking Eki and Kabuto to the front lines to provide medical assistance to the ninjas. After all, these ninjas can't think of any other ways to make money besides completing missions. Yakashi Nanu smiled gently at Kimona, reassuring her, "Don't worry, I'll be back in 2 or 3 years. Also, I'll find a way to bring Kabuto back." Yakashi Nanu still had her thoughts on that bright child. After Yuna left, Yakashi Nanu turned around and continued to stand by the window, watching the children playing outside. The sunlight shone on her face, as warm as her smile. Suddenly, Yakashi Nanu saw a lonely child leaning against a large tree in the distance, holding something in his hands. Menma, Yakashi Nanu also had deep feelings for this special child, and for some reason, she always felt a little uneasy as she was about to leave. She got up, climbed over the window, and slowly walked towards Menma. Under the shade of the big tree, Menma's lonely figure stood out from the children laughing and playing in the distance. "Menma, come play the game too." A caregiver called out to Menma, hands on her hips. "I don't want to play," Menma simply replied, then continued fiddling with the things in her hands. The caregiver sighed after repeatedly refusing to meet Ma, realizing she was at her wit's end with the child. She decided to let him play by himself, as long as he didn't disappear from her sight. Yakashi Nanu slowly walked up to Menma, and then it became clear that he was holding a small, dark red fox in his hand. But the fox's head was covered by something, and it was wearing a fox mask. "Menma likes this kind of doll. Has it been named?" Yakashi Nanu didn't ask about the origin of the doll. The orphanage usually received donations from the villagers, so it was normal to have some broken dolls and the like. Most of the time, caregivers are the ones who repair these dolls. Menma picked up the little fox with both hands and showed it to his foster mother, pharmacist Nano. He then said earnestly, "Nine-Faced Fox, Jade." Yakashi Nanu stared in astonishment at the strange doll. Its 4 legs were black, the tip of its tail was black, its head appeared to be wrapped in cloth, and its white fox mask bore the character Chinese letter Jade. Yakashi Nanu simply assumed that the caregiver had pieced together 2 different dolls, so she didn't use her chakra to sense or investigate. Hey. Yakashi Nanu crouched down and gently asked Menma, what are your dreams? As she was leaving, she realized that she seemed to know the least about Ma, the youngest child, and had never heard him talk about his dreams. Dreams? Menma withdrew the 9-faced fox and pondered for a moment with his head down. Before, he wanted to return to the real world. To this end, they did not hesitate to provoke the Fourth Shinobi World War, bringing pain to the shinobi world of the Limited Tsukuyomi world in exchange for the world's rejection. Now he's back, but he's become a character who doesn't exist in the original story's main world. If there is any pressure, it is probably the oppressive feeling from the sky above. He possesses the dark 9 tails within him and has now developed the 9-faced fox Jade, giving him an elite Jonin-level summon beast. Ordinary cage-level ninjas are no match for him. Only Madara Uchiha, Nagato in his prime, and Itachi Uchiha posed any threat to him. Then there's Kaguya Otsutsuki, who was sealed away on the moon. And the Otsutsuki clan, which may descend upon us 20 years from now. Menma raised her head and looked at Yakashi Nanu, her small face serious as she said, I want a peaceful world without war. Only without war can the power of the ninja world be unified and developed. Or rather, the war on the ground is no longer enough for Vortex Menma. The enemy he must face comes from above the dome, a peaceful world without war. Yakashi Nanu murmured to herself. I used to think that Du was the most mature among these kids, but now it seems that Menma might be the most mature one. Late at night, after packing some personal belongings, pharmacist Nano said goodbye to the caregivers she had worked with for many years. They were all kind-hearted women, some of whom were also war orphans, and some of whom had families in Konoha village and occasionally came to help out as volunteers. But they have the utmost respect for the hospital director, pharmacist Nanu. As the others watched her go, Yakashi Nanu walked out of the orphanage through the side door. As she passed the dormitory where the children slept, she glanced at the sleeping children through the window. Then it disappeared into the night. Who knows when I'll be able to return? Unbeknownst to Yakashi Nanu, above the orphanage, Menma, wearing a white 3-eyed fox mask, floated in the starry sky, silently watching Yakashi Nanu depart. Beside Menma, a female summon beast wearing a long robe and a fox mask floated silently, holding a tiny 9-tailed fox in her arms. Her ribbons rippled in the night breeze. This is precisely the 9-faced Suvaha heavenly maiden developed by Menma, using the chakra of the dark 9 tails. It possesses the ability to float in the air and can fight using ribbons. Its true form is 9-faced fox Jade. As Menma's signature ninjutsu, 9-faced Suvaha can only be developed by combining it with the 9 tails chakra. The code names of the 9-faced beast are arranged in the order of green, white, vermilion, black, empty, south, north, 3 jade. The corresponding zodiac signs are azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, black tortoise, golden snake, southern dipper immortal, northern dipper immortal, death god, and celestial maiden. The code names of the 9-faced beasts are similar to those of the Akatsuki organization. Each of them possesses a special ability, and their individual combat strength is comparable to that of an elite Jonin. When the 9-faced beasts fight together, they can unleash combat power comparable to that of a cage. I should take action too. Menma's mutterings faded into the night wind. After watching Yakashi Nanu disappear into the night, he turned and flew towards the towering gates of Konoha. End of this chapter. Chapter 14, First Time Leaving the Village. Chapter 14, First Time Leaving the Village. A coastal city on the eastern coast of the Land of Fire. Menma, who was leaving the village for the first time in this world, had changed into a simple outfit and was strolling along the city's port. Sir, do you need workers? I can do anything. Along the streets near the dock, some unemployed, ordinary people were looking for work. Most of them were ragged and emaciated, and when they looked at the port pedestrians, especially some of the well-dressed people, Their eyes were filled with fear and longing. Menma has traveled all the way from Konoha village and has seen too many ordinary people who have been displaced by war. At this time, the war between the Land of Fire and the Land of Lightning was coming to an end. The ninja forces of the two countries were facing off in the Land of the Moon and the Land of Hot Water. Although there were occasional small-scale clashes, both sides were still relatively restrained. Furthermore, with the Hidden Cloud Village having already sent a special envoy to the Hidden Leaf Village for peace talks, the war was about to end, and the coastal cities of the Land of Fire were gradually returning to their pre-war prosperity, with various merchant ships coming and going, including many from the Land of Lightning. The ninja world is not at peace. Besides the wars between major powers, there are also various bandits running rampant. The level of civilization in the entire ninja world is still stuck in the feudal era, with daimyo, nobles, merchants, ninjas, and commoners forming a strict social structure. Yes, even though ninjas possess combat power far exceeding that of ordinary people, their social status is only comparable to that of merchants, and most of the time they are even employed by merchants to earn money. Ninjas, who specialize in fighting and killing, have a status only slightly higher than that of ordinary people. Of course, there are also some rogue ninjas or wandering ninjas who kill merchants and plunder them. This situation usually occurs with small merchants, while large merchants generally have noble backgrounds and are not to be trifled with by ordinary ninjas. After all, if a nobleman were killed by a ninja, it would alarm the highest ruler of a country, the daimyo, and even the entire noble class of the country would offer a reward for the ninja, in order to maintain the rule of the nobility. This strange social structure persisted for nearly 1,000 years. During her time in the Limited Tsukuyomi world, Menma studied this social structure in her spare time and always found it incredible. Although many aspects of the Limited Tsukuyomi world are the opposite of reality, the social structure remains unchanged. While ninjas possess extraordinary powers, they generally do not have the power to interfere with the nation. A delicate symbiotic relationship has formed between the state power and the ninjas. The ninjas never thought of seizing state power, and the state never thought of replacing the existence of the ninja clans and ninja villages. Menma walked into a small seaside restaurant. "Please have a seat, sir. Are you alone?" The waiter greeted them warmly, showing no disrespect despite Menma's appearance of being only a teenager. The social structure of the ninja world is quite strange. Some large cities have developed rapidly in technology, while other places are like ancient times. In comics and anime, classical architecture appears sometimes, and modern architecture appears at other times. In some theatrical versions, even aircraft carriers have been introduced. Menma found a window seat with a view of the ships docked at the pier and waved 2 banknotes in his hand. "I'll have a ramen set meal, no Naruto rolls. Also, are there any merchant ships going to the Land of Lightning lately? The safer the better." As a ninja, Menma naturally didn't need to hitch a ride on the merchant ship. He was just looking for an excuse to find out who the most powerful merchant in the area was. The waiter took the 200 yuan bills with both hands and enthusiastically introduced. "The safest one is definitely Lord Kado's shipping company. There are even samurai and ninjas escorting you." Although ninjas are the mainstream in this world, samurai have not disappeared. Not to mention the samurai of the Land of Iron, most countries have samurai ronin, who are mostly gangsters, thugs, bodyguards, and the like. After all, in the established lore, ninjas generally don't get involved in disputes between ordinary people, and ninja wars are designed to avoid involving civilians. However, once a war breaks out, it's difficult to control. With 200 taels of silver in cash, after deducting the cost of the set meal, the waiter would receive at least 100 taels as a tip. The currency system in the ninja world is complex, with almost every country having its own currency. As the strongest of the 5 great nations, the Land of Fire has the most stable currency. According to the manga, in the ninja world, 1 ryo equals 10 yen. In chapter 150 of the manga, Start Training, Jiraiya gives Naruto 300 yen bills and tells him to go have fun, which is about 3,000 yen, less than 200 RMB. In the early anime version, a bowl of Ikaraku ramen cost 400 ryo, but in the manga it cost 60 ryo, less than 36 RMB. Here, we adopt the simpler and easier to calculate setting from the manga. Kado? When Menma heard this name, deep memories in his brain were awakened. Yes, Lord Kado is a newly emerging big businessman in recent years. The waiter introduced him to Menma because of the large tip. It is said that Lord Kado has the backing of nobles from the Land of Fire, and his fleet can sail freely in this sea area. Even the war of the past 2 years did not have much impact on him. Menma listened quietly. I vaguely remembered that it was Konoha year 54, and there were still 9 years until Naruto graduated, and the story began in Konoha year 63. 9 years later, Gato was one of the wealthiest men in the ninja world, able to hire an S-rank rogue ninja like Zabuza for an extended period. After all, Zabuza was a ruthless man who attempted to assassinate the fourth Mizukage and managed to escape unscathed after failing. He was also an elite jonin who could fight Kakashi to a standstill, so his price wouldn't be low. Menma vaguely remembered that the reward for an S-rank mission was 1 million taels. Furthermore, Zabuza also has Haku by his side, whose abilities are at least those of a standard jonin. If Naruto hadn't activated Nine-Tails mode, he really wouldn't have been a match for Haku. After the waiter left, Menma rested his chin on his hand, looked out the window at the bustling dock, and pondered the purpose of his trip out of the village. He had previously eliminated the white Zetsu around the orphanage, but that was only a temporary solution. The best way to completely stop the white Zetsu from monitoring him was to move to a neighborhood in the center of the village near the Hokage building, or a neighborhood near the Hyuga clan's territory. Using the ANBU ninjas and sensory squads in the Konoha building, as well as the Byakugan's X-ray vision, they should be able to get white Zetsu and Abido to stop monitoring him. However, Menma's true form is just a 3-year-old child, making it impossible for him to live on his own, let alone move to the Hokage building or the neighborhood surrounding the Hyuga clan's territory. Not only do they need money, but they may also need some influence. Therefore, Menma plans to find a merchant as his pawn, preferably a merchant from the Land of Fire with some noble background. By having them settle in Konoha village, and then finding an excuse to adopt an orphan, they can choose to move out of the orphanage. As for why he didn't just find a nobleman from the Land of Fire to adopt him, it was mainly because he was afraid of the trouble. If you want to live in the neighborhood around the Hokage building in Konoha or the Hyuga clan's territory for a long time, it's best not to use genjutsu to control the pieces. You have to make the pieces willingly serve you. In that case, it would be unsuitable for the aristocracy, who have been accustomed to the mindset of being superior to others for hundreds of years. Please keep reading, please add this to your favorites, please leave a review, please vote for it, please give it all kinds of data. This is very important for a new book. End of this chapter, Chapter 15, Kado and his little Karami. Chapter 15, Kado and his little Karami guest, this is your miso chashu ramen. The daifuku and tempura are complimentary. Please enjoy. The waiter respectfully placed the steaming food on the table with both hands. Menma turned his gaze from the window to the food on the table, somewhat surprised. This young man's smiling service was truly heartwarming. They also gave us 2 extra snacks as a thank you for the tip. By the way, sir, if you want to take a merchant ship from the Kado Company to the Land of Lightning, you can go to the next street. There's a ticket office for shipping vessels there, the waiter added. In addition to transporting cargo, these merchant ships also sell passenger tickets and pick up some passengers to increase their revenue. Thank you, Menma replied briefly, picking up his chopsticks and beginning to eat. Seeing the customer's cold attitude, the waiter wasn't surprised and withdrew on his own. Perhaps because it wasn't a professional ramen shop, the ramen here was just average, but the complimentary tempura was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, and the daifuku was sweet and delicious, which made him quite satisfied. After a hearty meal to replenish his energy, Menma left the small restaurant and headed to the dock to find his target. From afar, a merchant ship flying the flag of the Kado Company could be seen preparing to set sail. The crew on deck were shouting loudly through megaphones, and the ship's side was crowded with passengers eager to board. With a light leap, Menma instantly arrived on the ship. A Ronin samurai patrolling the deck felt a tap on his shoulder and turned his head slightly. The moment the white three-eyed fox mask came into view, the Ronin samurai was controlled by the illusion, and his eyes became unfocused. "Where is Kado?" Menma asked in a low voice. "Lord Kado will board the ship shortly," the Ronin samurai replied blankly, his eyes glazed over. "Take me to his room," Menma ordered. At the same time, he formed hand seals and instantly transformed into a sword-wielding samurai. "Yes, sir," the Ronin samurai led the way. The two walked through the cabin naturally, one after the other, as if on a routine patrol without arousing any suspicion. "This is Lord Kado's room." The Ronin samurai stopped in front of a carved wooden door. "You stay here and keep watch. When Kado comes, let him in." Menma pushed open the door and entered. "Yes," the Ronin samurai stood at the door like a statue. Upon entering the room, Menma discovered that although there were no gold or silver jewelry items, there were various genuine leather decorations, some expensive wines, and some collectibles that she couldn't understand. After sitting down behind his desk, Menma opened a drawer, took out some ledgers, and began to look through them. In a certain month of a certain year, a fleet carrying a certain amount of supplies departed from the port of the Land of Fire, bound for the Land of Water. In a certain month of a certain year, the fleet carried a certain amount of supplies from the Land of Water back to the Land of Fire. These are all accounts from recent days. Even during the Third Shinobi World War, Kado's fleet traveled to and from ports in various countries. Although they occasionally encountered ninjas or pirates and lost some cargo, overall the fleet's profits were extremely high. When a great war breaks out in the ninja world, it is the perfect time for a merchant like Kado to make huge profits. Although Menma wasn't a professional accountant, he could still discern a significant amount of expenditure from these accounts. Much of the fleet's profits had vanished, likely due to payments made to nobles and even daimyo of various major powers. This is necessary to ensure that Kado's ships can travel freely in various countries. The current size of the Kado company is only average. It is far from reaching the level of wealth that will make it one of the world's richest companies 9 years from now. It seems like in the fanfiction I used to read on a certain website, robbing Kado has become an important source of funds. Menma leaned back in his leather chair, propped his chin on his hand, and idly flipped through the accounts. The ship rocked slightly, signaling the start of the voyage. Shortly after, a commotion arose outside. Bang! The door was kicked open violently. A short man in a suit and round-framed sunglasses barged in aggressively. Behind him followed several fierce-looking Ronin samurai and wandering ninjas. The Ronin samurai, who had just been controlled by Menma's illusion magic, has been subdued by them. "I'd like to see which one of these blind fools is it." The short-statured Kado grinned as he walked into the room. When he saw that someone actually dared to sit in the genuine leather chair he had bought at a high price from the Bear Kingdom, his face instantly turned ashen, his lips twitched slightly, and he said, "It seems that this journey will be quite interesting." He grinned maliciously and ordered his subordinates, "Give this arrogant brat a good lesson. Remember, don't damage my collection. You can do whatever you want with him on the ship later." After Kado finished speaking, a group of Ronin samurai and wandering ninjas behind him walked in with sinister smiles. It was as if the little devil in front of them was already their plaything. "Don't you even have a decent ninja?" Menma sensed the chakra within these people and found that only 2 of them were genin level, so he shook his head. He didn't even bother to get up and do anything. He just sat in the chair, forming a hand seal with one hand. Nine-faced Suvaha Jade. In an instant, a spatial fluctuation occurred around Menma, and a jade character magic array emitting a dark red light appeared beside him. Nine-faced beast, Jade Celestial Maiden burst out of the summoning array and floated in midair. "What is that?" Before the warriors could react, the Celestial Maiden who floated out of the magic circle was already waving her ribbon. 2 ribbons pierced through the leading Ronin samurai like sharp swords. Blood splattered everywhere, and the pungent smell of blood brought the Ronin samurai and wandering ninjas to their senses. They stopped in their tracks, frozen in fear. The celestial maiden continued to wave her ribbons, which extended outwards, knocking down all the Ronin samurai and wandering ninjas who were in the way. Screams rose and fell, limbs and severed parts flew everywhere, and the cabin was turned upside down. Upon seeing this, Kado was so frightened that he ran out the door without looking back. But as soon as he reached the cabin corridor, 2 ribbons caught up with him and tied him up. Kado screamed as he was pulled back into the room. This time, however, the Ronin samurai and wandering ninjas in the room were already corpses lying haphazardly. Master, please, don't kill me. Kado, who had been so arrogant just moments before, was now trembling and stuttering as he spoke. The pair of small, round-framed sunglasses had fallen halfway down her face, revealing a terrified look in her eyes as she stared at the mysterious person in front of her. Menma stood up from the chair, floated over to Kado, and looked down at the disheveled merchant. He knew that killing alone would not be enough to make Kado truly submit to him. Therefore, Menma formed a hand seal with one hand and coldly said, "The Narakusite technique. Please keep reading, please add this to your favorites, please leave a review, please vote for it, please give it all kinds of data. This is very important for a new book." End of this chapter. Chapter 16, I am willing to serve you, sir. Chapter 16, I am willing to serve you, sir. Inside the cabin, when Kado came to his senses again, he was covered in cold sweat, his eyes filled with fear and awe at the mysterious man before him. Although the Naraku sight technique is just a simple C-rank genjutsu, it is practically a divine technique to an ordinary person like Kado who has no chakra. My lord, upon emerging from the illusionary world, Kado immediately prostrated himself at Menma's feet, his voice trembling. Kado is willing to serve you, sir. Kado looked up, his small eyes filled with fear and awe. They were terrified that they would be rendered useless and skinned alive by the other party. The Naraku seeing technique allows the victim to see their deepest fears. Kado's fear was that people would die before the money was spent. He experienced countless reincarnations in the illusionary world, watching helplessly as the Kado company, which he had painstakingly built up, became a world-class conglomerate, but he himself died for various reasons. Sometimes it's an accident, sometimes it's getting caught up in ninja wars, and sometimes it's simply being assassinated by ninjas. He used various illusions, no less than 1,000,000 times. The time Kado experienced in the illusionary world, converted to real time, was more than a year. Of course, Menma also added some elements to the illusion, showing Kado how those high-ranking daimyo and nobles were slaughtered at will by powerful ninjas. Therefore, as soon as Kado emerged from the illusionary world, he immediately begged the mysterious ninja in front of him for mercy, pleading with him to let him serve him. This completely shattered Kado's belief in the old order of the ninja world. Kado's previous rule and worldview over those nobles and daimyo were completely dismantled in the illusionary worlds he experienced. Menma nodded in satisfaction and placed his hand on Kado's head. Kado lowered his head nervously. Blood-packed seal. As Menma's dark and violent chakra surged into Kado's brain, a swastika seal appeared deep inside Kado's tongue. This is a cursed seal technique that Menma developed in the Limited Tsukuyomi world. It is very similar to the tongue disaster severing seal in the root section, but the tongue disaster severing seal in the root section reveals Danzo's message that he will be paralyzed all over and unable to move. Menma's blood-pact mark is even more cruel. As long as the person affected reveals Menma's information to outsiders, their brain will be directly destroyed to prevent enemies from obtaining more information by reading their brain memories. However, Menma improved this technique, allowing it to store the amount of chakra of an ordinary genin, greatly enhancing the physical abilities of the user. I need your earning power to contribute funds to the organization. Menma floated in midair, scrutinizing Kado, who was kneeling on the ground. Feeling the subtle chakra energy within his body, Kado's face lit up with joy, and he knelt down again. Thank you for your grace, my lord. I, Kado, swear to serve you to the death." As night fell, the waves lapped against the hull of the ship, making a soft sound. Kado's office had been cleaned up, the bodies had been thrown into the sea, and the room had been cleaned up and turned into Menma's lounge on the ship. "My lord, this is a top-grade tea specially offered to the daimyo by the land of tea. Shall I brew you a cup to try?" Kado served him carefully from the side. Menma was still wearing a mask, lounging lazily on the sofa. The little nine-tailed fox had already darted out from under the mushy fur collar and was sitting on the coffee table, devouring desserts. Kado hurriedly offered it more pastries, treating it like a divine offering. "Your main task now is to manage the company's revenue and reserve funds for the organization." Menma was flipping through an ancient book from Kado's collection, the country of which was unknown, his right hand resting on his cheek in a fist. "Yes, I will obey your orders, sir." Although he felt a pang of heartache at having to hand over all the money he had earned to the organization, he also gained power and a certain status within this adults' organization. Perhaps they can even become nobles of the new world in the future. How much longer, until the fleet reaches the port of the Land of Lightning? Menma suddenly looked up and asked. "Reporting to you, sir, it will be about 5 or 6 days from now. It is the season of northerly winds, and the fleet will be much faster. Starting from the port of the Land of Fire, one needs to bypass the Land of Hot Water, cross a bay, and then reach the coastline of the Land of Lightning. The distance isn't very far, roughly equivalent to the distance from Konoha village to the Land of Hot Springs. Assuming a jonin travels at 300 kilometers per hour, it would take about a day, minus rest time, to cover a distance of over 5,000 kilometers. This boat is a wooden sailboat, and with the help of the northerly winds during the season, it should have a speed of about 18 knots, or 33.3 kilometers per hour, and can travel up to 800 kilometers a day. It does take 5 or 6 days to reach the coast of the Land of Lightning. So the ninja world is actually quite large. The ninja was just too fast. Based on the speed at which Naruto and his group traveled from Konoha to Sunagakure in 3 days when they came to support the village, even if they were all elite jonin with the stamina to travel at 200 kilometers per hour, and only slept 5 hours a day, they would have covered 3,800 kilometers a day, which would amount to more than 11,000 kilometers in 3 days. The Earth's circumference before Menma's journey was only 40,000 kilometers. Judging from the appearance, the size of this planet is indeed planned according to Earth. The population of the entire ninja world continent should be around 300 million, and each of the 5 great nations has a population of 30 to 50 million. Menma stroked the little nine-tailed fox's head with one hand and added, "Besides making money, your company also needs to expand to the 5 major countries and some surrounding small and medium-sized countries to collect intelligence from each country." "May I ask, what kind of intelligence is it?" Kado asked. After pondering for a moment, Menma slowly said, "We can collect information on the topography of each country, the major cities and important passes, the ports, the population and social structure, and the conflicts between nobles and commoners." "What about the ninja village?" Kado asked in a low voice. Menma didn't say that ordinary people like Kado were not suitable for investigating ninja villages, but simply said, "I will arrange another intelligence team to handle the ninja village matters." "Yes, sir," Kado replied solemnly. Little nine-tailed fox, dressed in a red and white kimono, looked like a little child. She sat on Menma's lap, holding a large piece of sweet in both hands, about to take a bite. Suddenly, she looked up at Menma and said something. "By the way, aren't we going to dispose of that Cloud Village's corpse?" Menma then remembered that he still had the corpse of the Cloud hidden Envoy in his storage scroll that he hadn't dealt with. "Where is the gold exchange in the Land of Lightning?" Menma asked Kado. "I happen to be passing through the Land of Lightning, so I'll find a gold exchange to see if I can get some money. Let's also visit Kumogakure. While we're at it, let's also send them some local specialties from our hometown. Please continue reading. Please add this to your favorites. Please vote and give it a monthly pass. Please leave a review. Data is very important during the new book period. Thank you so much." End of this chapter. Chapter 17, An Encounter with Kakuzu at the Gold Exchange. Chapter 17, An Encounter with Kakuzu at the Gold Exchange, the Land of Lightning, a port city on the coast. Under the gloomy sky, Kakuzu, dressed in a black robe, walked slowly through the bustling street, exuding an aura that kept strangers at bay. Those blue eyes coldly scanned the surrounding pedestrians, as if assessing their value. His aura was intimidating, and passers-by avoided him, not daring to meet his gaze. After arriving at a toilet in the suburbs of the city, Kakuzu looked around for a while before entering the toilet. After knocking on the toilet doors in order, a door appeared in the corner of the toilet, and a dark passage led to who knows where. However, this wasn't Kakuzu's first time here, and he went in with practiced ease, following the stairs. The space below suddenly opened up, and the two young women at the reception desk immediately gave a professional smile when they saw guests arrive. "Welcome. I've come to collect the bounty." Kakuzu's voice was hoarse and gloomy. "Okay, please wait a moment." A young girl bowed and then immediately went to fetch the person in charge of the gold exchange. A moment later, a bald man with a scar on his forehead came out, his face full of smiles. "So it's Lord Kakuzu. I've heard of your great name for a long time." HMPH. Kakuzu snorted coldly, neither agreeing nor disagreeing with the flattery. "Enough with the nonsense. This time I'm going to exchange this person's bounty." Kakuzu took out a storage scroll from his pocket. Then it was unleashed. The corpse of a ninja, wearing a Konoha headband, appeared on the ground. "Let me see." The bald man skillfully flipped through the bounty book, nodded after comparing it with the information. After searching through the data on Konoha ninjas for a while, the bald man found this ninja. A special jonin of the Sarutobi clan, with a bounty of 8 million. The bald man recited all the information about the man, then squatted down to examine him. To prevent people from using transformation or illusion magic to scam money. While bounty hunters like Kakuzu might disdain such things, rules are rules. Confirmed, Lord Kakuzu. The bald man stood up, clapped his hands, and two receptionists came over carrying a box. Kakuzu took the box, placed it on the counter, opened it, picked up the banknotes, and flipped them quickly with his fingertips, a slight smile playing on his lips. Kakuzu seemed to be in a good mood, counting his money while occasionally letting out a soft hum. The bald man then ordered his men to open a storage cabinet on the wall and put the body inside. Then they waited quietly for Kakuzu to finish counting the money. Having worked at the gold exchange for many years, he had heard of this powerful bounty hunter who liked to count money on the spot, but this was the first time he had done business with Kakuzu. Tread tap. Just as he was waiting for Kakuzu to count the money, a footstep came from the stairwell. "Looks like there's still business today." The bald man looked up. Kakuzu, who was counting money, stopped what he was doing and turned his blue pupils toward the source of the sound. A mysterious figure wearing a white three-eyed fox mask descended the stairs, his long robe swaying gently, exuding an eerie aura. What a charlatan. Kakuzu chuckled under his breath, though he had already become interested in this mysterious man. Many ninjas with bounties wear masks or face coverings to hide their true identities, which is why Kakuzu often pays close attention to such people. "Hello, sir. This is the third gold exchange in the Land of Lightning. Are you here to post a bounty?" The bald man greeted him. Uzumaki Menma's gaze lingered briefly on Kakuzu. Although Kakuzu wore a loose robe and a mask, his blue eyes and money-obsessed style were still very distinctive in the ninja world. "Let's see how much bounty this guy has." Menma took out a storage scroll and formed hand seals. Bang! After the smoke cleared, the body of the Cloud Village envoy appeared on the ground. 12 million. Kakuzu couldn't help but look over, recognizing the man's value at a glance. Oh, Lord Kakuzu's eye is indeed excellent. The bald man took out the bounty list of the Cloud Village ninjas and searched for the price range of 12 million, and sure enough, he found it. "This is Cloud Hidden Envoy Kainu." The bald man suddenly widened his eyes. Just recently, Konoha claimed that Kainu, the leader of the Kumogakure special envoy, was killed by a mysterious ninja in Konoha and dumped in Hyuga territory. in an attempt to escalate the war between the two countries. Then came the war of words between the two sides. The hidden cloud village did not believe Konoha's explanation and insisted that Konoha hand over the murderer. After all, they know best what they've done. But Konoha insisted that a mysterious ninja had killed the cloud village envoy. The bald man looked up at the mysterious masked man in front of him and felt a chill run down his spine. How powerful must a ninja be to kill someone in Konoha, the village with the most powerful of the 5 great nations, and still be able to escape unscathed after being discovered? Kakuzu was counting his money while sizing up the masked mystery man, wondering how much it would be worth if he also had a bounty. "Sir, may I ask your name?" After checking the body and confirming that it was indeed him, the bald man ordered someone to fetch the money while asking in a low voice. The words from the other side made Menma think for a moment. Knowing that he would likely be using this mask and outfit most of the time when operating in the ninja world, a code name would be essential. "You can call me Shura," so Menma casually picked out a code name. "All right, Lord Shura, this is our gold exchange's bounty list for this quarter. If you're interested, feel free to visit anytime." The bald man presented a bounty list with both hands. Menma took the bounty list, thinking that since he was going to Kumogakure to deliver local specialties anyway, he might as well kill a few Kumogakure ninjas to exchange for money. "Sir, this is the reward." 2 young girls placed a heavy box on the ground and bowed deeply. Menma picked up the large box from the ground, didn't count the money, and turned to leave. The history of the kin swap in the ninja world is unknown, and Menma believes they wouldn't stoop so low as to cheat him out of his money. "Hey, aren't you going to count the money?" Kakuzu couldn't help but ask when he saw the other person pick up the box and leave without even checking the money. As a top-performing employee, I've even developed obsessive-compulsive disorder. They took the money, but didn't even count it, and they didn't even open the box to check it. Menma tilted his head slightly, the white 3-eyed fox mask reflecting a faint light in the dim light. "I see you seem quite interested in my money. Why don't you go out and try your luck? If you win, you can take all this money with you." Menma gestured towards the exit. According to the rules of the ninja world, the gold exchange office is a safe zone. Killing someone in the gold exchange office will result in being wanted by the gold exchange office. That's exactly what I was thinking. Kakuzu grinned, put down the money he hadn't finished counting, and closed his box. He then followed the mysterious man out of the exchange, carrying the briefcase full of banknotes. The 2 left the gold exchange one after the other, the air thick with tension. Please continue reading. Please add this to your favorites. Please vote and give it a monthly pass. Please leave a review. Data is very important during the new book period. Thank you so much. End of this chapter. Chapter 18 work for me, Kakuzu. Chapter 18 work for me, Kakuzu. After leaving the gold exchange, Menma and Kakuzu arrived at an open space. "Boy, if you're not wanted and have a bounty on your head, drop the money and leave, and I might spare your life." Kakuzu put the money box into his storage scroll, and a hoarse warning came from beneath his mask. Kakuzu was an extremely arrogant person. After all, he was a powerful figure from the same era as the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, and had even attempted to assassinate the first Hokage. Although he was severely injured by Hashirama's wood release, Kakuzu often said, "I am the man who has fought against the god of shinobi." Since defecting from Takagakure, Kakuzu has made a living in the ninja world by earning bounties, and his greatest hobby is counting money. Because he had experienced distrust from the village and betrayal from his partner in the first half of his life, Kakuzu believed that only money would never betray him. "Do you think I'd be worthless just because I killed the Cloud Village envoy?" Menma stood a few meters away from Kakuzu, placing a large suitcase full of money aside, and a soft laugh came from behind his mask. "Indeed, even without a bounty, you could probably get some money by taking your corpse to Kumogakure, huh?" Kakuzu sneered, his hands quickly forming hand seals. Earth release, earth rising spear. Several sharp, spear-like rocks protruded from around Menma and thrust fiercely towards him. Menma leaped into the air, his robes fluttering in the wind. "Yash, this is the time." A calculating glint flashed in Kakuzu's eyes, and his right arm suddenly flew out, activating the Earth Grudge Fear. The black lines at the joints darted out like venomous snakes, carrying the right arm as it attempted to pierce through the enemy opposite. This is a tactic he often uses. Once the enemy is forced into the air and unable to turn or move, Kakuzu's Earth Grudge Fear is suddenly activated, aiming straight for the opponent's heart. Kakuzu used this first encounter kill technique to kill many ninjas. However, Kakuzu's pupils suddenly contracted, because he saw that after the other person jumped up, they did not fall, but hovered in midair, looking down at him from above. "This is troublesome," Kakuzu murmured hoarsely from beneath his mask. Kakuzu has never really encountered an enemy who can stay airborne in all his years in the ninja world. The black lines on Kakuzu's right arm danced, and the tentacles of the Earth Grudge wove a dense net in the air, attempting to block the opponent's movements. Menma casually tossed out a few kunai, which passed through the large net woven by the Earth Grudge and shot towards Kakuzu on the ground. HMPH, Kakuzu moved slightly, easily dodging the kunai. "Is that all, kid?" Kakuzu had just uttered his sarcastic remark when he heard a thunderous roar behind him. He turned around abruptly, and a sharp pain came from his back. An arm crackling with dark purple lightning pierced through Kakuzu's body, shattering one of his hearts amidst the shock in Kakuzu's blue pupils. When, Kakuzu was shocked as he felt the Earth Grudge mask collapse after losing a heart. He swung his arm, which was linked to the earthly grudge, and grabbed the person who had attacked him from behind, only to find that the other party was just a shadow clone that turned into smoke and disappeared the moment his arm caught it. With a howl, Kakuzu collapsed. The scene fell silent for a moment. This trick is really effective. Menma toyed with a kunai in his hand. Using shadow clones or transforming into kunai to shoot behind the enemy, and then launching a surprise attack with lightning speed, is a technique frequently used by Naruto Uzumaki. Although it looks simple, it contains a complex tactical approach that blends truth and falsehood. Most ninjas in the ninja world cannot defend against this move. After all, in such a highly tense battle situation, a ninja cannot pay attention to every kunai that is dodged. On the ground, Kakuzu remained motionless. If it were anyone else, after piercing Kakuzu's heart, they might have thought they had won and would have gone over to clean up Kakuzu's body. However, Menma knew perfectly well that Kakuzu had 5 hearts, and faking death was just one of his usual tactics. After Kakashi pierced Kakuzu's heart with his lightning blade, he became careless and was kicked by Kakuzu, who was pretending to be dead, resulting in serious injuries. Menma floated in midair, looking down at her with a chilling tone. "If you continue to play dead, I don't mind crushing the remaining 4 hearts." Kakuzu, who had been lying on the ground pretending to be dead, suddenly opened his eyes, his blue pupils trembling. He got up from the ground, his body hunched over, with a large bulge on his back. Puffed. Suddenly, a black masked monster tore through Kakuzu's black robe from behind, and as the mask collapsed, the masked monster also vanished into thin air. Kakuzu, panting, looked at the vortex-like figure floating in the air with deep apprehension instead of disdain, his voice hoarse. "How did you know?" "The secrets of Takagakure." Menma stood in the air like a god. "The ninja world holds no secrets for me. Now I'm giving you 2 choices. Work for me, or let me crush your 4 other hearts." Menma stood proudly in the void, his eyes filled with murderous intent. "Do I have a choice?" Kakuzu asked with a hoarse, bitter laugh before kneeling on one knee. Kakuzu is a very pragmatic person. Not only does the other party know his secret, but they can also destroy his heart in one move. "If I don't submit to them, I'm afraid I won't be able to leave here alive today." A port in a city in the land of lightning. Several merchant ships of the Kado company were docked at the pier, and workers dressed in shorts were speeding up the unloading of various goods under the foreman's orders. Kado stood on the deck at the bow of the ship, watching his men at work, occasionally letting out angry roars. Suddenly, Kado's small eyes spotted 2 figures approaching from a distance. The person walking in front of him made him tremble, and he quickly jogged down. On the dock, Kakuzu, who had been subdued, silently followed behind the boy in front of him, his blue eyes filled with "I can't understand." My lord, my lord." Kado, his short body moving swiftly, arrived before Menma and said respectfully, "My lord, you're back." "Who is this?" Kado also saw Kakuzu, who was tall and exuded an aura of unapproachability, behind Menma. "Kakuzu, this is Kado, the member in charge of making money in the organization. Your temporary task is to stay by his side and protect his company as they trade with various countries in the ninja world." Menma turned his head and said to Kakuzu behind him, "I will give you a fixed salary, and you will have the right to access the accounts of the Kado company. Of course, you can still work part-time as a bounty hunter, as long as you don't leak the organization's information." HMPH, not bad treatment at all. Kakuzu snorted lightly, a slight smile playing on his lips beneath his mask. Having a fixed salary to receive, being able to continue as a bounty hunter, and even being able to work in the finance department of a large company made Kakuzu feel much better after losing to Menma. After arranging for Kado and Kakuzu to leave the Land of Lightning together first, Menma continued on to Kumogakure. "I'm planning to send some local specialties from my hometown to Union Village. Please continue reading, please add this to your favorites, please vote and give it a monthly pass, please leave a review. Data is very important during the new book period. Thank you so much." End of this chapter. Chapter 19, I&-039, am here to deliver local specialties. Chapter 19, I'm here to deliver local specialties. The central mountain range of the Land of Lightning is shrouded in mist. The rugged mountain road wound its way up through the mountains, and a caravan of more than a dozen horse-drawn carriages was slowly making its way along the road. Surrounded by steep peaks, the terrain is rugged, the climate is humid, and it is often shrouded in thick fog. If you are not familiar with the terrain, it is easy to get lost. "Hey, buddy, we're almost at Cloud Village." Joey, a dark-skinned merchant, called out from a carriage. His eyes were slightly vacant as he looked at the black-haired boy lying on the roof of the car, playing with a small fox. The little fox is wearing a mask on its head, with the number 3 printed on its forehead. "Thank you, Uncle Joey." Menma put away the 9-faced fox and jumped down. This caravan consisted of several smaller caravans, because Kumogakure was located deep in the central mountains of the Land of Lightning, in a treacherous terrain shrouded in mist, making it difficult for outsiders to find. Therefore, Menma found a small caravan heading to Kumogakure through the Kado company's trade route, and used illusion magic to control its leader. Soon, the caravan arrived at the entrance gate of Hidden Cloud Village. This place is guarded by 2 Cloud Village ninjas, who register civilians and ninjas entering and leaving the village. Menma jumped down from the carriage and gazed at the Hidden Cloud Village hidden in the clouds. Amidst the misty peaks, oval platforms are built on each mountain peak, enveloping them and forming a unique architectural complex. The villagers also mostly live inside these oval-shaped buildings. Further away, a gourd-shaped building hanging upside down can be vaguely seen in the thick fog, appearing and disappearing in the clouds. "What's your name? What brings you to Kumogakure?" The guard's voice interrupted Menma's observation. "My name is Danzo, and I don't have a surname." Menma grinned, trying to portray himself as having a cheerful personality like Naruto. "Anyway, Master Going doesn't care about being blamed a few more times." He pointed to the merchant behind him with his thumb and said, "This time I'm accompanying Uncle Joey to sell goods from the Land of Tea, and also to express my gratitude to a Cloud Village ninja." Danzo, one of the Cloud Village ninjas, quickly sketched Menma's appearance and then registered it. "What's the name of the ninja you want to thank, or what are his characteristics? Maybe I know him too." Another Cloud Village ninja felt a bit more favorably disposed towards this kid who kept saying he wanted to express his gratitude to the Cloud Village ninja. He looked rather fierce, with dark skin and a bandage wrapped around his head, Menma recalled and said. The gatekeeper ninja shook his head helplessly at this answer. It's probably hard to find someone with such a description. There are quite a few people dressed like that in Kumogakure. It's all right, I brought some local specialties from my hometown. If we can't find anyone, we can just give them away randomly. Menma pointed to the carriage behind him. The guards at the village entrance didn't investigate much. They simply registered the convoy and let it pass. After entering Kumogakure, Menma separated from the convoy and headed familiarly towards the Raikage's office building. During his time in the Limited Tsukuyomi world, he also traveled through the ninja world for many years, visiting many ninja villages. Most of the roads and buildings in Kumogakure were almost identical to those in his memory. Yo tilde yo tilde yo tilde yo tilde yo. As I was climbing up a staircase to the platform, music started playing overhead. No way, what a coincidence. Mama's expression twitched. I've been practicing since this morning, tilde I'm so hungry tilde. My absolute favorite when I love rap. I've decided to have chicken and vegetarian stir-fry for lunch tilde. Yes, yes, yes. When Mama walked onto the large platform, she saw Killer Bee holding a microphone and rapping loudly on a high platform. 2 Cloud Village ninjas were clapping along with them, forcing smiles. The surrounding villagers whispered amongst themselves, trying to avoid taking a detour. I remember back in the Limited Tsukuyomi world, Killer Bee was a very popular pop star. Listening to Killer Bee's off-key rap, Menma felt a pang of nostalgia for the Killer Bee of the Limited Tsukuyomi world. Hey tilde, hey buddy over there tilde. Is this your first time visiting Kumogakure? Yo tilde. Perhaps it was the allure of the tailed beasts, but Killer Bee suddenly noticed Menma not far away. His gaze, hidden behind his sunglasses, locked onto Menma, and he called out to him loudly. The 2 Cloud Village ninjas who were with Killer Bee also looked over, and when they realized that it was a face they had never seen before, they became alert. Hello, I am a merchant from the land of tea. I brought some local specialties and would like to express my gratitude to a Cloud Village ninja who helped me. Menma took the initiative to greet him. I didn't expect there to be a rap show here. Menma added another sentence. The 2 Cloud Village ninjas couldn't help but smile wryly. Killer Bee, as if finding a kindred spirit, leaped high, somersaulted in the air, and landed steadily in front of Menma. He started gesturing with his hands and said in a rap style, Hey tilde buddy, you have good taste tilde. Wanna come to my solo concert? Killer Bee has been restricted from leaving the village by the 4th Raikage for many years. Apart from training in the Cloud and Thunder Gorge, he spends his days doing rap. Although the people in Kumogakure don't discriminate against Jinchuriki as much as those in Konoha and Sunagakure, Killer Bee still faced a lot of exclusion after becoming a Jinchuriki, and was even assassinated by a former comrade. Moreover, his rapping was too annoying and hard to listen to. Let's skip this one. I need to go check out the village mission center. Menma scratched his head and politely declined Killer Bee's invitation. 2 other Cloud Village ninjas also came over. One of them asked, Who are you looking for? I don't know his name either. I only have a general description of his appearance. Menma repeated what he had just said at the village entrance. After listening to Menma's explanation, the Cloud Village ninja frowned and said, It's not easy to find someone based on such an appearance description. Ninjas value intelligence highly, and relying solely on appearance to identify someone, like Menma, makes them easy targets for the Cloud Village. Clearly, these 2 also had doubts about the mahjong. It's all right. If I can't find it, I'll leave the local specialties at the mission center as a way of thanking Kumogakure. Menma smiled frankly, giving off the vibe of a sunny and cheerful young man. The village's mission centers are mostly located around the buildings where the village knights reside, which is also the area where ninjas are most frequently seen. The 2 Cloud Village ninjas are not worried about anyone causing trouble inside the village. After all, in all the years since the establishment of Kumogakure, no one has ever caused trouble in the village. Given the Raikage's volatile temper, he'd probably break through a window and jump out to attack people if he heard any noise. Moreover, the Cloud Village ninjas have always been known for their fierceness and bravery. As one of the 5 great nations, Kumogakure's ability to wage war against Konoha for so long speaks volumes about the village's strength. Killer Bee and the other 2 didn't try to pull Menma away. They made way for him and watched him leave. Yo tilde, did you bring a thank you gift? Killer Bee didn't know why, but watching the black-haired boy disappear into the clouds, he felt a little uneasy. B, something's wrong with this guy. Suddenly, in Killer B's mental world, the eight-tailed Juki issued a warning. Boom, suddenly, an explosion occurred at the Rakeage building not far away. A thick plume of black smoke slowly rose from the misty mountain peaks. Please add this to your favorites. Please leave a review. Please vote for it. Please give it a monthly pass. Data is very important during the new book period. Thank you so much, dear readers. End of this chapter. Chapter 20, Attack on Kumogakure. Chapter 20, Attack on Kumogakure Rakeage Building. The fourth Rakeage, A, wore a white robe and a Rakeage hat, and held a dumbbell in his right hand, stretching his muscles while listening to his subordinates' reports. According to the updated information from the exchange, the mysterious ninja who killed Kainu has already taken his body to exchange for the bounty, Mabui said calmly, holding a document. Bang, no sooner had Mabui finished speaking than the fourth Rakeage, A, slammed his palm down, splitting the entire table made of hard ironwood in two. This is outrageous, that despicable guy. The fourth Rakeage's eyes widened in fury, yet he remained calm despite his rage. The Rakeage asked in a deep voice, what are the chances that Konoha will do this on its own? He dispatched a special Jonin skilled in infiltration as an envoy, ostensibly to negotiate peace, but in reality to infiltrate the Hyuga clan's territory, kidnap the Hyuga princess, and thus obtain the Byakugan bloodline limit for Kumogakure. If the Hyuga clan discovers this, preferably the main Hyuga clan, the envoy will become a suicide soldier, crashing into the enemy and dying on the spot. This would give Kumogakure an excuse to force Konoha to hand over the culprit. This was originally a move that was guaranteed to make a profit. But then a mysterious masked ninja suddenly appeared, killed the Cloud Village envoy, and dumped the body on Hyuga clan territory, framing the Hyuga clan. As the Rakeage, A knew better than anyone what the Cloud Village had done. He didn't believe Konoha's explanation, thinking that the other party was just desperately protecting the Hyuga clan. It's still possible. After all, a ninja who can do this in the heavily guarded Hidden Leaf Village wouldn't be an unknown nobody. Mabui frowned slightly. As the Rakeage secretary, Mabui is exceptionally intelligent, adept at judgment and analysis, and possesses a wealth of intelligence about Kumogakure. Therefore, Mabui also believes that it is unlikely that such a person exists. But Mabui put down the documents in her hand, a sharp glint flashing in her pale blue pupils, and added, Konoha's insistence that it was done by a mysterious ninja is clearly an attempt to protect the Hyuga clan. If we continue to pressure them, Konoha probably won't hand over the culprit from the Hyuga clan. HMPH, then keep fighting, fight until Konoha begs for mercy. The fourth Rakeage's face was ferocious, and his left fist was clenched so tightly that it cracked. He couldn't wait to lead his ninja forces to Konoha's home base. Lord Rakeage, our hidden cloud village is no longer able to fight. Mabui sighed and analyzed the current situation of Hidden Cloud Village and the Land of Lightning for the hot-tempered Rakeage. They couldn't even get into the Land of Fire, let alone Konoha. The ninja forces of both countries had been locked in a stalemate in the Land of Hot Water and the Land of the Moon for months and were already exhausted. This war should end. And this is the third time this month that you've broken the table. Mabui glanced at the broken pieces on the ground. This was a table made of fine, hard ironwood. Mabui said helplessly, the repair cost will be deducted from your allowance. Whatever, the fourth Rakeage, AI didn't care. He held a dumbbell in his right hand, looking at the dark cloud that was gradually drifting in through the window, and for some reason had a bad feeling. What's B up to now? The fourth Rakeage A immediately thought of his adopted brother, Killer B, the eight-tails Jinchuriki who liked to rap and had been forbidden from leaving the village for many years. Boom, suddenly, a deafening explosion erupted from the ground floor of the Rakeage building. The entire building shook violently, and the rooms creaked as if they were about to collapse at any moment. Who is it? The fourth Rakeage, A, roared, threw the dumbbell aside, smashed the office window, and jumped down. Lord Rakeage, Mabui hurriedly followed. The two jumped out of the Rakeage building and landed on the platform below, where they saw that nearly half of the lower floors of the Reikage building had been destroyed. If the Reikage building hadn't been built on a mountaintop and connected to other peaks by supports, it might have collapsed by now. Ray Shadow AI searched everywhere for enemies. Tread. Footsteps came from the smoke. Who dares to be so insolent in Kumogakure? The fourth Reikage, A, was furious. In the decades since Kumogakure was established, no one had ever been able to break into the village. A figure slowly emerged from the billowing smoke. As the smoke gradually dissipated, a white three-eyed fox mask appeared and disappeared. Playing tricks. The fourth Reikage, A, unleashed purple lightning chakra, activating lightning release chakra mode. He glared at the figure in the smoke and shouted angrily, "Get out here." The fourth Reikage, A, flashed forward and rushed towards the mysterious figure in the smoke at an extremely fast speed. Die. Thunder release, heavy flood storm. Countless lightning chakra gathered on Reikage A's elbow, crackling and whistling as it suddenly attacked the mysterious man. Just as Reikage Ai's elbow was about to strike the mysterious man's mask. Zhang, a clear whistle pierced the air. A black scythe emerged from the billowing smoke, slicing through the haze. It clashed violently with the metal bracers on Reikage Ai's wrist, producing a crisp, clang sound and sparks flying. At the same time, Reikage A's concentrated lightning release chakra on his elbow inexplicably decreased by more than half. The attack failed and lightning release, heavy flow burst was interrupted again. Reikage A immediately withdrew. Lord Reikage. At this moment, Mabui and two guards of the Reikage's guard, Darui and Zai, also arrived at the battlefield and stood on either side of Reikage AI, assuming a fighting stance. Who are the enemies? Darui gripped his longsword, staring intently at the three masked figures that emerged from the smoke. As the smoke dissipated, two masked figures dressed in robes were seen floating in the air. The person on the right has a ribbon fluttering behind them, and they look like a woman. The person on the left, wearing a mask, is dressed in a black robe and holds a black scythe. The two floated in midair like ghosts. Reikage A stared intently at the masked man with the scythe, feeling a significant amount of his chakra being drained. That's him. Mabui also saw the mysterious figure opposite him, his pupils shrinking sharply. The mysterious ninja who killed Kainu, as reported by Konoha. What? Darui and Zai were also somewhat taken aback. As the Reikage's bodyguards and also high-ranking members of the Cloud Village, they naturally knew about the news that had come from Konoha a few days ago. I thought it was just a lame excuse from Konoha, but it turns out it's true. Darui looked at the two masked figures floating in midair with a solemn expression, and it seems that they are not alone. The report from Konoha mentioned a mysterious ninja, but the ones who attacked Kumogakure were three masked men Ada. A whooshing sound came from overhead. Killer B, carrying 7 swords, also arrived at the battlefield. Hey Tilde, are you alright, bro? Killer B first greeted his older brother, Reikage A, and then looked at the three mysterious masked men after the smoke dissipated. Hey Tilda, why did you attack Kumogakure just now? Killer B asked, striking a pose with his hands. With his malicious perception fully activated, Uzumaki Menma could already sense that all the ninjas from the hidden Cloud Village were rapidly approaching. Before long, figures landed around the Reikage building, and a ninja wearing a Kumogakure headband surrounded Uzumaki Menma. When the Cloud Village attacks others, do they ever make up a reason? A deep voice came from under Menma's white three-eyed fox mask. Today, I'm simply returning your tricks to you. With that, Menma ordered the two nine-faced beasts behind him, kill these minions. The Jade Maiden waved her ribbons, and the third Death God raised his scythe. They rushed out from the left and right respectively. Please add this to your favorites, please leave a review, please vote for it, please give it a monthly pass. Data is very important during the new book period. Thank you so much, dear readers. End of this chapter. Alright legends, that's it for today. If you're ready for the next chapter, smash that like button and flood the comments right now. Remember, we've got 3 days to prove this story needs to continue. Subscribe so you don't miss the drop, and I'll meet you in the next audiobook.